Hi everybody! Welcome back to my channel or podcast, wherever you are watching or listening to this. All right, so I'm here with Nichole, also known as Dating Chronicles on Instagram. Didn't my sister give you the idea for that name?
Yes, she absolutely did.
So funny.
She's
so good.
I know. She's spot on.
She also gave me the idea of expose the pepper, which was my like Chili's expose thing.
Oh,
yeah, she's so good. You know,
yeah.
well, that's why she works in advertisement.
Yeah,
social media. All right, guys. So I'm so excited to introduce you guys to Nichole. Nichole is. We're gonna give you a little backstory. So Nichole and my sister we all went to the same high school. We're 2 years apart. They graduated together. They have been friends since high school. This is our first time meeting in person.
Yeah.
But Nichole has been on a dating journey for about the past year. And she's been posting. Oh, we've got Pippi. She's this Piper. If you guys hear her little taps, she's just having fun. Her little doggy. This looks like Oliver, if you guys know my dog. So she's been on this dating journey for the last year, and it has been amazing to watch. So she posts her stories on Close Friends. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I also do post stories on Close Friends. And my sister told me, you have to watch her. You have to hear her stories. They're so good. And so I have been watching her. I think I started watching you in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been, honestly, has been eye-opening and really life-changing to watch. I love watching her stories because it's been such a progression from the beginning of her journey, from when she, left her ex and how he was, and we'll go into that, and to who she's dating now. And it's really proof of manifestation. You guys know I'm huge into manifestation. I know that whatever you want, you can have. If you can dream it, you can have it, like I always say. So Nichole is actually a scientist.
Yes.
What do you do?
I'm an analytical chemist, so I have my PhD in analytical chemistry. Been a big go-getter, big into science, even from a really young age, and moved out to Salt Lake City right after grad school. I got a great job out here, and I've been here ever since, but I grew up in the Orlando, Florida area. But yeah, I do that as a job. I'm a chemical gas sensing specialist.
Yeah.
So I do like a lot of, right now we do a lot of environmental air quality testing, but we have a lot of other applications. Air quality is a big one. Cabin sensing within vehicles, just air quality overall is kind of our big, what we work on as of right now.
Yeah, so I know that you're not really into religion or spirituality. She's just very science-based. We need data, we need facts, we need all into analytics, all that. So the reason that I wanted to do this video and podcast with her is because to come from a religious and now more spiritual background, and someone who's completely not in that realm, it's proof that this stuff really works, because it's not like she's praying to God or doing any type of rituals or anything to make this happen, which, I do that stuff, but she doesn't, and she still got the results that she wanted. So you don't have to follow a certain path to get where you want to be and to get what you want. So this is why I thought it was really important to do this video with her, because I think it's two opposite ends of the spectrum, and then we still are seeing the same results. And so I think that this is really just a testament to the fact that this stuff is real. I did let her know, if you do want to look up some scientific data, there is, neuroscience, look into string theory, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, all that stuff, which is fairly new. It's just now being studied, how quantum mechanics, quantum physics merges the spiritual and metaphysical. So there are studies being done about that. So, we do have some science behind it, so that's good. But what we're going to talk about today is dating. So we're in our mid-30s. I know we don't look it, but we are. And we consider ourselves former pick-me's.
Yes, pick me girls. That's the definition of that, is someone that just pick me. I want anyone to love me and not like actually make them work for it, and just give your love unconditionally right away without a man actually proving it to you. And then just kind of pursuing a man on your own, when in my world right now, the male-female dynamic is very key for me, where I absolutely love when a man pursues me, because I feel like the traditional male-female role is, that brings you into your most feminine energy when you have that sort of dynamic. So I've really been tapping into that. But yeah, I was a former pick-me. I had a relationship of 5 years before I had this whole year journey where people on my close friends were able to watch, like, this is the crappy situation I was just put in again and again and again. And slowly over time, I just kept building up to now. As of 2 days ago, I have a boyfriend who I think is a total provider, takes care of me and my friends completely. She's got to see it this weekend, where he took me and my friends out to a very nice dinner, anything we wanted, took care of us, and absolutely loves being a generous man and a great provider. So I went from a pick-me life where I was just trying to get love from anyone that didn't actually earn it. And that's kind of where that definition of pick-me, what we're talking about here. You'll hear it on social media a lot, but if you haven't heard it, that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think that, excuse me, I think it's important to kind of start from the beginning with our background and our upbringing. So for me, I don't know why, I just like, ever since I was born, I was just like, I just want someone to love me that doesn't have to love me. And I just came into the world wanting that. And I remember like fighting this girl in kindergarten for the boy that I liked. I was always very obsessed with the male gaze. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's a societal thing, if it's, you know, we're taught from such an early age that you should want to be a mother, you should want, you know, to get married, and then they sell you the dolls, and so you just fall into that. And so right away you're like, well, I need a partner, and that's like all you think about. And it was exhausting for me to always be worried about how I'm being perceived, and do they like me, and I like them, and then it's like I'm constantly chasing. And like, it's like the more you chase something, the more it runs away. So clearly it ain't working, you know what I'm saying? And then I would fall for the bare minimum, because I thought, oh, I didn't know that there could be more, or even if I knew that there could be more, I didn't think it would happen for me, you know what I'm saying? And I think we just, you know, trauma that happens growing up, you just start settling, and you just think, well, and then on top of that, in this economy, you think, well, I got to do the 50-50 thing because it's really hard out here. And then, you know, especially guys in America want to guilt you into, oh, you know, you're like a gold digger if you want to be taken care of, or well, you know, I'm struggling too, and so like you should chip in, and so then you feel bad. And I was telling Nichole, I feel like women, we have that motherly instinct, an maternal instinct, and so we have more compassion, we have more empathy, and we feel bad, and so we start taking care of these men. Oh, I don't know why, but we just fall into that. We just naturally fall into that role if you don't set those boundaries. Yeah. It's very easy to fall into that.
And then for me, I actually ended up having a single mother my entire life who completely took love off the table, did not even want to pursue it, like never dated, never did anything like that. Wanted, and always taught me, and then I had my grandmother. I don't think I've told you this. I had my grandmother who was married for 39 years and then divorced so that my grandfather could marry someone 30 years younger. Yeah. So I had this kind of jaded women telling me, don't ever depend on a man. You need to do everything for yourself. So I'm a very self-sufficient, very independent, always been driven to get my degree, to have a good job, do all of those things. And then I fell into this trap. One, I did see some great relationships in my family. My grandmother ended up finding a fantastic man afterwards. And I got to see like true love, and she had a lot of mental illness. So I got to see true love in that sense. Like, okay, that was something bad. And she always still, even though she found a good man afterwards, was like, never depend on a man. You need to be independent. You need to do this on your own. So I kind of grew up with this ideology like, okay, I'm going to be doing this on my own. So 50-50 is fine, because I am going to be independent. I am going to take care of myself. I am going to be financially providing for myself. But then this whole mindset shift this year for me has been, no, I am been taken out of my feminine completely. And I've had to basically end up mothering a grown man. because I was somebody that was super sympathetic, super supportive, my ex had gone through a very tough time, losing his job, losing his father, all in the same week. And I said, I can take care of everything. And then it took me completely out of my feminine. I completely lost all attraction for this man, and I was taken advantage of. So that's kind of where my background is, of being like raised to be like, do your own thing, take care of yourself. Like, this was an era that we grew up in that was like all about women empowerment and independence, which is great. But now as women, we need to level up from that. We can't just, we're already doing for ourselves. We're the men that are actually going to come in and like actually be an enhancement to our life and not bring us down, because I already have to pay my own bills. I already have to do things on my own. I want a partner to come in and enhance my life, not so we can struggle together. We need an enhancement from that. So that's kind of where I've been this past year.
Well, it's interesting because for me, it was the opposite. With my parents are still married. So
Right.
I'm 37. So, 39 years. That's so funny. They've been married for 39 years. So 39 years they've been married, and my dad was the sole provider. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and because we're from Puerto Rico, it's very traditional. So the man is supposed to take care of everything. And so I grew up expecting a man to want to pay for everything and to take care of me. But I was raised with this old traditional thinking, old school, because we're Puerto Rican and because we're religious, that's how it should be. But then I was growing up in Florida, and I'm going to public school, and I'm just living in this new Americanized culture where that wasn't the norm. Now, I will say, when I started dating, like in college and in my 20s, I was dating guys because I wasn't gonna foot the bill. So guys were paying for me because that's what I demanded, that's what I expected. So it did happen. But as time went on and the older I got, it was like, I became more aware of finances and how much people struggle. And I think that's what got to me, and be like, oh, well, I feel bad and I should help. And then that's where kind of
guys will prey upon that as well.
And they will. And they see like, well, you're making money. So like, I don't know why you expect me to do anything.
I still hear that today.
Yeah.
I've had from my previous year of dating.
Yeah. And it got to a point, never again, where I was dating someone and I was living on my own. I had my own place, no roommates, no nothing. And I had a boyfriend move in with me, and I was like, okay, you can move in if we split the bills 50-50, which is fine. It was beneficial for me because now I don't have to pay all the bills on my own.
Yeah.
But there were times where he was struggling, and I'm like, okay, I got it, like, just pay me back kind of thing. And then he wouldn't want to pay me back, and he'd be like, well, you're doing it on your own before. I don't know why you need me now. And it's like, I'm not your mother.
Exactly.
Like, you did not move in here for me to take care of you. Like, I'm paying the bills, I'm buying the groceries. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then the most important thing is that you lose your attraction for that person. You don't want to sleep with them. You don't want to do anything with them because you become their mother. Who wants to take care of a grown adult and then think that, and then the guys just expect you to like want to still do that with them? Like, no, I'm not attracted to you anymore because now I'm taking care of you. So I definitely learned my lesson on that one. Never taking care of a man again, for sure. So it was interesting, the dynamic, how it changed, like, and we grew up so different, and yet we still ended up kind of in the same place of taking care of a man. I think it's just a societal thing that ends up happening. And a lot of men in this day and age are in their feminine era, are in their feminine energy. And that's fine for women who want to do that, or for men who want to date a man in their feminine. That's great. Not for us. We don't want to be in our masculine anymore. We are so tired of being in our masculine. It takes you out of your feminine, and it really takes a toll on your mental health. It takes a toll on your body. You just are carrying so much when you're in your masculine, and it's not natural for us to be in this. It's not. I personally don't believe it's natural for women to. We do 100 times more than men because we can compartmentalize so much. We can multitask so much. And thank God we don't have any children, but like the women who have to go to work and have children to take care of, and they're doing the 50-50, and like men expect the women to take more of that motherly role while they are like just the man, and I can't imagine. I'm just so grateful that we're not in that position. I don't think it's natural. I think women are just so, we make the world run, you know, and we should be treated as queens that we are. And they have stolen that from us. And to me personally, I think it has a lot to do with religion, because religion, we've been under this, you know, gotta say religion is a cult, because it's like it brings women down. It wants to make women feel small. It wants to, oh, the man's got to be the head of the household and he's got to make all the rules and you are subservient to him and you have to do what he says and don't talk, be less, be small. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why? No. So I think religion has a lot to do with that, and I have empathy for the women who are still under that indoctrination and still fall into that paradigm of, well, I just want to be, you know, a mother and a wife and this, and it's like, there's so much more to being a woman than just being a mother and a wife. And I think like neither of us have ever wanted to have kids, and that's okay.
Yeah,
like,
that's okay. You can still get the princess treatment. You can still have the things like that a traditional male-female dynamic can have, but you know, do for yourself. But have what am I trying to say? Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah. We're just saying like you. It's not a trade-off. You don't have to. I have to be a wife and a mother to get these things.
Yes.
No, you don't have to. It's okay. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're not enough because you don't want to be a wife or a mother. There's so much more to us, and we bring a lot of value. And to be honest, the world could not run. Like honestly, like Beyonce says, "Who run the world? Girls." Because I don't look at where we are because men run the country. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Look at where we are. They think women are the problem, but no, women are the ones who, actually in Egyptian times when the kings would pass, like with the women, the queens would step in place and they would always fix the issues that the men had created. They would come in, they would fix everything and organize until there was a male in the family that was old enough to become king again, and then he would become king, fuck everything up again, and then the women would come in and fix everything. Women are just, I'm sorry, gotta say, smarter. We're just smarter. We're just better at problem solving.
Yep.
We just can handle a lot more. So anyways, okay, so let's talk about your upbringing as far as like finances go, because I think it's important to know like where you came from, as far as like you didn't come from money.
No, not at all. My mom never made more than $30,000 as a salary in her lifetime. She was a claims adjuster at an insurance company, and my father basically, I'm getting real deep here, my father always said he wanted a daughter, and then when I was actually conceived, he wanted an abortion. Lots of things you haven't learned.
Glad you're here.
Yeah. Well, my mom always wanted kids. She actually wanted more kids, but then had some complication and couldn't have any more kids. So, but yeah, she obviously was like, absolutely not. I've always wanted a kid. She was 32 years old. She was already at a great age, and she was like, I'm here for I wanted this, and they were already engaged and started living together. So she was like, I want to do this, and if that's not for you, then we need to move on from each other, and you need to be consistent in her life or just don't show up at all. So he lived about 20 minutes away from me my entire life and never showed up. Don't even know if he's alive. Never met him.
Wow.
Tried to send me a letter when I was 19 years old, and I was like, I feel very fulfilled as like, even though I had a very small family, lived in 900 square feet my entire life, small little area called Sanford, Florida, if any of you know that. It's not the nicest area of town, but you know, it was my hometown, and I go and visit my mom, trying to move her here to Salt Lake here soon, but so I came from very low income, single mom, only daughter or only child completely, and my mom was constantly advocating for, like, when I did like professional ballet and different things, and she was always trying to get scholarships from various people. I saw my mom like really hustle to make sure that I could get provided for. So I see this strong female in my life that is constantly trying to provide for me, advocating for me, knocking on doors to like get, hey, I want a scholarship for my daughter. And then my grandmother had dated a couple different men. One of them, she only dated a year, and he stayed in my life for the rest of my life. I think that's why I like very much so value friendships and like are very giving to others, because I had men that did come into my life that were not related to me that absolutely loved me, and they did try as much as they could, not wealthy men either, but they did try to like, here, I can give money to Nichole for this when I can. But for the most part, it was my mom like asking men for money when she, you know, grandparents that weren't actually my blood grandparents. My actual family never would support me. My mom's father never would send her a dime, always thought my mom was out for money and was not a good person, consistently telling her that's all she wanted was money. You know, this narrative we've been taught from a young age, women are now asking for too much because they want a male provider, and it's like, no. This is what we need to have, this like very traditional male-female dynamic. Anyway, like, so most of my actual blood relatives were not close with them whatsoever, because they continuously let me down. So I was let down by blood relatives, and I saw a lot of support from people that weren't even related to me. So I did have a lot of love, and I think that's why I've always actually believed in true love, because I was like, okay, I've seen my grandmother get divorced after 39 years. That's a little disheartening, you know, to like have what you would think was true love, but he was an abusive partner. Not only abusive to my grandmother, but abusive to my mother and his children. So I saw some really negative things, and my mom tried to like definitely not keep me a part of anyone's life that was in an abusive situation. She did a really good job with that, and only brought really positive influences in my life. So I definitely saw some beautiful things growing up, but definitely was my mom initiating all the finances, initiating everything that I needed to be provided for. So not only was she, you know, getting me what I needed as far as like paying for ballet lessons, paying for these very things, and trying to figure out how to take care of me in that way. But yeah, she was the initiator in all ways. And that's where I became this like very independent woman. And well, my mom had to do it alone. What if I end up alone? Mm-hmm. Like initially just put my mindset into that position of like, I might have to do this alone too. Mm-hmm. And if that's me, I need to step up to the plate and take care of all of these things.
Well, and that's so interesting, because for me, with the dynamic that I had with my parents, my mom was always just like, oh, well, you know, you're gonna get married and like a man essentially is gonna take care of you. But seeing that, and they're still married, and you know, whatever, you know, they were working out fine. But seeing that, I feel like it traps you when you don't have your own income. And my mom was just a stay-at-home mom. She did have jobs here and there, but I feel like if she really wanted to leave, she could. She's got family and stuff, but you know, it feels good to have your own thing and not feel like you're under the thumb of a man. And not saying that my dad is like trapping her or anything that, but seeing that dynamic, it made me realize, like, because I used to always say like, I'll just find a guy who will just support me. And it was like, the most of the men who support women are going to expect you to just be like just their doll, you know, to not really be your own person, and you have to do what they say because they're supporting you. So I think that's where kind of the shift came for me, where I'm like, I don't ever want to feel stuck. I don't ever want to feel trapped. So I have to fend for myself. I have to be independent. I have to do this on my own. So that's where, you know, I started realizing I got to take care of myself. And then that led me into now taking care of other people. But I wanted to bring that up because I think that a lot of people will, like, now with the journey that you've taken with the dating, are gonna think, oh, well, she came from money, so that's why, you know, now she's dating more wealthier men or something. And it's like, no, she had her struggles, you know, she had to do everything on her own. She had to make sure her grades were good so she could get her scholarships, and she didn't expect to have a provider because you didn't see that. You saw, I got to do this on my own.
Yeah. I even dated a guy in college who was 100% a provider, and I kept telling him, he was like, let me go take you out and like get you groceries and pay for groceries. And I was like, I can do it on my own. I didn't have a job in college. I was just a student full time, but it was like so important to me to like show him, like initiate or show him that I was that independent. Like, I can take care of myself. I can figure this out. And he actually wanted to do that. And I think it was unattractive for an actual real provider. It was very unattractive for me not to accept that, to want to be needed. And that's you know, again, part of that whole traditional male-female dynamic that I have been seeking this whole year.
Yeah, I think men who are very much in their masculine want to have women in their feminines because it makes them feel like that's like their role. Like, which again,
it gives them a lot of pride.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of pride to feel like I got this. Like I'm taking care of her, you know? And
exactly.
Instead of the men who are more in their feminine and want to be taken care of. That's a huge turnoff for me.
Yeah.
And I have had people say, oh, like girls, I don't need a man to take care of me. I don't need a man to do anything. And I'm like, well, more power to you, but
we technically don't.
Yeah,
like,
we don't. We really don't. Yeah.
In this day and age, that's why you can be picky, though.
Exactly.
Be picky because you already can do it yourself. So why take on someone with a shitload of debt or, you know, all this extra stuff when you don't have to? You should definitely, just be. If you get back into the more traditional male-female dynamic, you're going to feel like you're taken care of, you're getting a need provided for, and the man, if he's truly in his masculine, is going to feel like, oh, I'm so needed, I love this feeling. And I feel like the guy that I'm just now been in a relationship with does appreciate the side that's independent. He's like, I've never been with somebody that actually has a job.
Sorry.
It's very interesting to finally find a true provider, because I feel like it's very...
rare.
It's very rare nowadays. It's a lot of more men are in their feminine in this day and age, and it's definitely hard to sift through.
And he's not foreign.
No, yeah, that's true too. We've seen a lot. If you know, through my year of doing the dating chronicles on Instagram and sharing all of my stuff, sharing all of my dating experience, it's actually once I came into finding a true provider, it was almost like, wait, is this real? Like, a lot of people assumed initially, like, this is love bombing. This could be love bombing. A lot of friends were like warning me, he's just giving you this stuff. He's doing these things for you just to trap you initially or just to gain your interest. And then he's not going to be like this. And I just kept, before I became his girlfriend, I was like, are you really this person? Like, because this is amazing. And I love all of it. I can't have any of this change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I also wanted to say, I think the fact that you didn't have that male figure in your life is also what led us, well, not me, because I did have a male figure, but there's always different reasons why you end up in these narcissistic type of relationships. We did end up with a narcissist and someone who was I would say verbally abusive with, you know, how he treated you or how he talked to you, and financially abusive to take advantage of you. And so we have those patterns that we don't even realize. And so tell me a little bit about like your dating history before this year.
Like with my most recent ex, or in general?
Yeah, I mean, well, in general, was it all kind of just the same, like a 50-50 dynamic in the past?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
All of it.
So you never really dated a provider male before now?
I did, and then I didn't realize it, and I didn't take...
Right, that guy in college.
I did, yeah, the guy in college. It was small stints with providers. Most of the time I found a 50-50 guy. And I didn't appreciate it at the time. I was like, oh, he just wants to, like, kind of be like in this dominant position and take control over me. I kind of viewed it in that light, and that's not what he was trying to do. Yeah. He knew that he was very well off. He was an optometrist and like owned 3 bars in the Florida State area, Florida State University in Tallahassee. So yeah, he definitely was trying to provide that for me. And I even remember this one line where he said to me, don't you just want to like lay by the pool all day? And I like bring, and like he gave like this very vivid visual, and I'll never forget it. Like, don't you want to lay by the pool all day? And I just wade through the pool and give you a glass of milk or whatever you want. And I was like, I'm going to college. I'm doing this. I don't want that. And I was, you know, like, he wanted to treat me. And that was really interesting because I completely denied it and completely thought it was a form of control or something like that. But yeah, prior to this year, I had been in all 50-50 relationships. And yeah, I mean, I was honestly terrorized. I had the guy in Tennessee. I went to the University of Tennessee for my PhD studies, and he ended up doing a very similar thing where the first year was great. He was enamored by me. He would do all these things for me. And then after that year, it was just like, what are you doing for me? Like consistently asking me what I could provide, what I could bring to the table. What do I do? And
let's talk about that.
Okay.
What do you bring to the table? Oh my God. Okay. So how do you feel about when men ask you, so what do you bring to the table?
Nothing. Zero. I tell them I bring my love, my support, my commitment to them, and honestly, I tell them it's not going to be financial anymore, and that's a big deal to me because I do it for myself. So it's hard to I remember the first time I told a guy that, I was like, I honestly don't want to bring anything financial to the table. What I do bring to the table is my love, my affection. I'm here for you. I'm in my feminine. I dress up. I love to do these things. I love to be there for my man and affectionate, holding them, PDA, giving me all this, giving a lot of attention and being that supportive role. And that's kind of what that traditional male-female dynamic is. If a guy tells me, when I was dating on dating apps, if a guy sends me a message, what do you bring to the table? I literally will say nothing. Because the minute he does that, it's what we call around here the dusty.
The dusty.
A dusty male.
A dusty.
Yes, we bring nothing to the table for those guys specifically. We actually do bring something to the table. We bring the love, the support, I love being supportive. I think that's a very true feminine thing for me and all of my friends. They're very supportive women and they love being there for their man. They love talking to them about their day and what do you need from me as far as my love. And and the guys that are in their feminine, they are not going to appreciate that. They're gonna be like, no, you need to do all of these things.
Exactly.
You need to bring the finances. You need to do everything we do plus be the female. And that's just asking for way too much.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your last serious relationship. You were with him for 5 years?
5 years, yep.
5 years. And like you said, he did have some struggles, which is why you stepped up to the plate. And
yeah, I was just feeling like I was a supportive girlfriend and trying to help out. And then he took advantage of me and didn't have a job for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
2 years. And so what made you snap out of that and be like, I'm done?
I didn't realize at the time that the male-female dynamic that I was looking for, I didn't realize that was very important to me at the time. So I honestly he just kept tearing me down. And that's when I told myself, this is it. Constantly tearing me down. Then he started, honestly, the day that I broke up with him was my birthday last year.
Ooh.
Yeah, on my birthday.
What a great birthday gift.
Oh, God, yeah. You know what? The gifts weren't even... The one time a year he actually did nice things for me was my birthday, and it wasn't enough for me to even care that year.
Wait, because I think you've told the stories about things that he's pulled on your birthday, and it was
terrible. No.
Terrible.
He didn't show up. So he would basically forget about my birthday completely. 100% of the time. I would tell him hey, I want to have friends go out. This year I'd like this year I'd like that. Never plan. Completely would I just completely, forgot about it. So what he would do, he would actually end up spending a decent amount of money, getting me a YSL bag, getting me a Burberry scarf. The first year was probably the best because I was like, oh wow, this person's getting me designer. I've never had designer stuff before. I never got that. And that, it was the year I turned 30 and he got me some designer things, but he forgot everything. He never was a planner. If he can't plan a simple birthday, my birthday's a big deal to me, he can't plan a life with you, right? So yeah, so he was terrible. He was terrible about ever planning anything for me, even though I would specifically ask and give him plenty of time, just could not pull it together. So what he would do was spend, around $4,000 in gifts. But everything else, it was okay, great, I got great gifts, but I never feel thought of. There's no forethought to anything you're doing. There's no consideration. I've literally told you exactly what I wanted and you literally can't perform it. So on my birthday, 2023, I wake up and he went through, my dating chronicles was formerly my Poshmark boutique. I don't know. Yeah, you probably didn't know that. I have this side business where I sell clothing, reused clothing. And it was formerly all that. So if you go on the dating chronicles, you'll see me posing. I would pose in outfits that I was selling. But then I started sharing with my friends and sharing what was going on in my last relationship because I felt he kept telling me as a narcissist, he kept telling me continuously, hey, don't talk to your mom, don't talk to your friends about this. This is between us. And part of me was you you know what? I respect that, right? Like, you don't have to tell your family absolutely everything or your friends absolutely everything. If there's stuff you're working on with your partner, okay, I can respect that. But it got to a point where it was so controlling that I literally didn't share with anyone. My mom is like my best friend. And legitimately, the day we broke up, I was telling her all this, like just rattling it all off. And she was like, oh, if you had told me that, I would have like told you. And so many of my friends have said that too. Like, I would have told you, like, this is just terrible. And it just started becoming more controlling. And it was a slow burn. That's when people end up getting really trapped. And everyone else on the outside is like, yeah, we see this as a huge problem. But you like start out with like a lot of freedom and you can do what you want to do. I started feeling like just asking to go out with my friends was going to be a problem. So I would stop asking to go out with my friends because I knew it would turn into a fight. So I didn't even realize I was internally just taking this all in and being like, oh man, I know my friends want to just, and I wasn't talking about going to the club and dancing like I'm doing now. I'm literally talking about like going out to dinner and then coming home right after to my man. And that was an issue for him. Like, it got to that level of control that I didn't even see it. And I'm like, what? I'm a PhD and I can't even see the writing on the wall. Like, we all get trapped in these things and you don't realize, and you have to like let that part of you go. You have to understand that that's, you know, it's a form of control, and narcissists will do that. So on my birthday, he comes in and some guy slid into my DM because my Poshmark boutique, which is now the Dating Chronicles on Instagram, some guy was wondering, and it was an old friend from FSU, if he basically saw that I hadn't been posting about
your ex,
my ex, and he slid in the DMs and said, hey, are you single? Like, you know, like, I'm going to be coming through Salt Lake and I would love to like see you. And I said to him, I said, yeah, I am actually in a relationship, and I was very honest, but my ex on my birthday decided this was the first time he actually pulled that, but he like was helping me update my Mac computer, and you know that's connected to your iPhone. So he saw the messages, he got into Instagram, looked at my DMs, saw that some guys had messaged me, and my Dating Chronicles, and even when I was a boutique, Instagram was all tuned towards women. So if a guy like commented on stuff, I would just ignore them. But this was a friend of mine. This was a friend of mine that I had known for a long time. And I said, yeah, I'm in a relationship. And he asked, he's like, oh, that's great. How's it going? And this is what really got to him was like, I was like, oh, you know, we have struggles like all couples do. And it was just me being very generic about it. But he saw that and he flipped his lid. He's like, this guy now thinks he has a chance. So he comes into the bedroom on my birthday ranting about how some guy was in my DMs. And I was like, I literally said that I was in a relationship. I was not lying. And I was like, and he's like, why do you feel like you have to share with people? He did not, that was his level of control. He did not want me to share anything that was of a negative, even as generic as that comment was. He was like, I can't have anyone seeing me in that light. I can't have anyone thinking that I'm not like the most perfect boyfriend ever, even though he was garbage.
That is such a narcissistic thing to do. I mean, I grew up with my mother who's a narcissist. It was the same thing. Keep your mouth shut, not allowed to talk. You can't, you know, don't talk about me. Keep my name out of your mouth. People can't see me in this light. Don't do the things that you don't want people to know about. Like, it's not talking shit when it's the truth. And it's not talking shit. You're just doing shitty things. Just don't do the shitty things. If you guys start noticing people in your life telling you, don't tell anybody about this, keep this between us, and it's that type of controlling environment, it's like, you know, it's because they're doing something wrong.
Exactly. So he walks into my bedroom on my birthday, and I just remember being like, I'm done. And it was my choice. I was like, and it was funny because you weren't on the Dating Chronicles right when this happened. And it wasn't called the Dating Chronicles. It was called Creme de la Crane. And it was my, you know, that was my boutique name. So I just started like talking about this and sharing with, it started out as just like sharing with my friends. Like just telling people about what had happened to me. And
you were only sharing it on close friends.
I was just sharing it on close friends. And it was probably just like 20 people, you know, like at the time. Now I only have like, you know, about 700 followers, but close friends is any female that wants to be on the close friends that I share all the nitty gritty details of like my dating life and my history. And what were red flags were. I think that's my favorite part of the dating chronicles, is being like, this is a sign, even though it's a very subtle thing, that this man is not going to be a provider for you. And that's what I like to share with women, because it's like, most women will accept it as, you know what, that's fair. You know, he said that, that's fair. But it's actually like a little subtle sign that the guy's not going to do, if you want a true provider in your life, like that, the man's not going to be that way. But yeah, he came in, and I just remember being like, this is it. So we were fighting. Every 2 weeks, we got in a huge blowout. I'm a little ashamed to say this, because I feel like my emotions were so out of whack during that time, but like, I would have literally a glass in my hand drinking water, and so frustrated I would throw it up against a wall.
I mean, when I was dating a narcissist, I threw his phone and I threw my phone and broke my phone. I just dreamt that. We just took a nap right before doing this, and I was just thinking it right before you said that. I was like, oh, I just dreamt that I broke my phone. And then now it's like, this just came up. I remember being so angry because he was a narcissist. He was lying. He was cheating. And he was just gaslighting me. And it brings you to this rage that you don't even know you had inside of you. And people think, oh, she's crazy. No, they drive you to this insanity. Granted, we don't have to stay in these situations. But when you're in it, you don't realize you're in it. You're in this tunnel, and this whirlwind of chaos.
Yes.
And they fuck with your head, and they make you think that you're the crazy one, and they twist every little thing, and if you point one thing out that's wrong with them, they project it back onto you. And I remember like throwing his phone was fine, then I threw my phone broke, and I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta get out of this. Like, this is not okay. And once you step out of those situations, you realize like, oh my God, I was just in an abusive, toxic relationship. Like,
yeah, you start thinking, because they are always projecting back onto you.
Yes.
Something that you did. Well, you were the one that threw my phone. Do you know how much led up to that? How much, like, how many terrorized me for so long to get to this point?
I don't know if your ex ever did this, but like, my ex would laugh in my face, like, if I accused him of things. It was like, ha ha ha. It was like, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. It was like standing in front of the devil himself, it felt like at times. Because I'm like, how can you be so heartless? Like, it's like an empty vessel inside, because they just don't care. They're just so selfish. So I think that, unfortunately, we sometimes have to go through things like this to realize our worth. I think that we thought we had standards, we thought we valued ourselves, until we get into these relationships and we just put up with more, and we put up with more, and we put up with more, and then we're like,
we reach a breaking point.
Yeah, you hit your breaking point, and it sucks, but I think it's like a necessary evil in a way, to realize your worth and be like, hey, you deserve better than this. This is not the best it gets, you know? And so you guys broke up, and you took a little break, or did you start dating right away?
I
started dating because you had mentally checked out.
I had mentally
Women always mentally check out before they physically leave.
Yeah. I was so checked out that I thought I was ready to like date right away. So it was not like a week later I was out with somebody else, you know?
Like, I love to see that.
Yeah.
Like, why?
My friends were so happy. They were just like, good, thank God.
About time.
Yeah, about time.
Okay, so when you first started dating, did you have a different mindset going into it? No. You were still just like, just dating, whatever.
Oh, this guy was interested, I'll reach out to him. I literally was the pursuer still. So I had guys that I knew were interested, and I reached out to them in Utah, and I reached out to them like, hey, I'm single now, let's go out. So I pursued. Not a good look. It's not what I advocate for at all anymore.
Yeah.
I make every man like pursue me. When I was on dating apps, I was just telling her, I paid for Hinge Premium so that I could see everyone's messages to me. Anyone that had a comment to make. I do not scroll on dating apps. I wait for someone to send me a message. Because if they're putting that first effort, there's a good chance that they're going to be a provider male. So I waited for commentary to come through, and it was a lot of guys, because I specifically have on my profile now what I was looking for was a traditional male-female dynamic. I enjoy fine dining.
It took a minute to get here, though.
Yes, it definitely took a long
months
time
in the making.
Oh yeah, like you were bringing months. I mean,
almost a
probably
year.
6 to 8 months to get to a good point where I was then expressing exactly what I wanted. But yeah, right out of leaving my ex, I ended up pursuing men still like I normally would. I would know like they were interested, so I would send the messages, I would be making the plans, and it's like that was not putting me in my feminine, and it left me with men that were not putting in enough effort.
So when did your perspective and your approach change? Were you reading books? Were you watching stuff? Like, what made you change your mindset?
I knew I was doing something wrong in relationships, because it wasn't the first guy that this had happened with. Was my ex of 5 years. The guy prior to that was also very similar. I said, I think I'm attracting a certain kind of man right now, and I'm not sure what that is. So it was a lot of Instagram, YouTube videos, mostly like podcasts, and licensed therapists would talk about things, and I was reviewing new information. And honestly, when you start hearing about like, oh, this is how you should approach, you're like, that's not how American men are. Like, no one's gonna like me if I say stuff like that. If I'm asking for a provider as somebody that already provides for myself, like, what man is going to like me? Well, that's good, because it sifts them all out. But yeah, I was doing the same thing I had always done, but I did think in the back of my head, I know that I had been doing something to attract this type of male, and I need something different. So I just kept watching videos. I had a friend from Florida reach out to me and be like, hey, have you ever like watched this person or that person? They talk a lot about like the male-female dynamic, and you should watch that, and you should like see if this is an approach that works for you. And they were very like giving me the opportunity to learn something new. And that's when I honestly came to the conclusion. I was like, I don't know if this is even possible, but I'm just going to go for it. And I've seen other people talk about it, and maybe like even now people might think this isn't real. This is social media. People do things all the time just to get following, and like, oh, I'm going to show all my YSL bags, and I've got this provider mail, and I have all this stuff. And like me initially, I was like, maybe it's not real. Maybe it's all fake. But you know what? I'm going to shoot for it. What's to lose? I can literally provide for myself. So let's see if it's out there. Well, let's see if I can actually find it. And if I do, maybe that'll make me feel like better in a relationship. I have that traditional male-female dynamic. So I just was like, I'm going to test it out. It was like a science experiment, honestly.
Yeah. And I think like at first you were still following the old patterns. You switched it up. And
it took practice.
And I remember you being like, I'm really nervous to say this. I'm really scared to say this, because we have just been taught, like, conditioned to be less. And
ask for less,
and that makes you come across a certain way, and what are people gonna think of you?
Oh, you might be a gold digger, is what's like, if you want that traditional male as a provider.
But like, it's exactly what she said. If I can provide, and I always said, people tell me your standards are too high, and I say I am only asking for what I can provide for myself. It is not too high. If I can provide it for myself, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, okay? And so if I can do this, there is another person out of 8 billion people who can match my energy. Now, I think that a lot of people, like you said, think this isn't real, or it wouldn't happen to them, and that's the problem. Thinking that it's not real, thinking that it won't happen for you, because you have a scarcity mindset, you have limiting beliefs, you're not believing in it. And Nichole is being someone who didn't come into this thinking, oh, I can just manifest this. She was able to essentially do like a science experiment.
It was
go on this like almost a year-long journey of actively dating. And I gotta tell you, this is like a part-time, full-time job. I mean, she's working her full-time job while she was actively setting the intention of, I want to date, and this is what, and
find a long-term partner. I wasn't just trying to find gifts.
Right.
Trying to find a long-term partner.
She wants a long-term partner, and she wanted to make sure that they could provide more than what she was already providing for herself. Because let's think about what it's like to have a partner. It's a lot. It's a lot to take on someone else's baggage, we'll say, because everybody has something. Everybody has, you know, even if they don't have an ex or if they don't have kids, they've got some childhood trauma. Everybody's got trauma. And they've all got something. Nobody's perfect. And so think about now you're going to share this life with someone. And so you're going to take on their struggles. And like she said, you could take on their debt possibly, or whatever the case may be. Excuse me. And if they're not enhancing and adding onto your life, why are you doing this? Is it just because you're desperate for someone to love you? Because that's the thing, is you really have to love yourself and value yourself and know your worth before you start going out there. Because when you're in this, how I was like, just desperate to be in a relationship, you settle for less because you just want a partner. But then you get in these relationships and these partners are not good for you. They're not good for your mental health. They're just adding drama.
Yeah, and I think there's another thing to be said there. Like, all of those things are very important. Valuing yourself, knowing your worth. Because honestly, I actually have always been someone with a lot of confidence. I feel like I've accomplished so much, and I feel I'm very proud of the things that I've accomplished in my life. And I was a very confident person, but for some reason I was not confident in relationships. It's kind of a very unique.
Same. I remember my best friend telling me, you are so strong in
Exactly.
every other aspect of your life. You don't hold back. You're so blunt. You're so forward. You have no issues going after what you want or anything. Why are you like this in relationships?
Yeah, and that was, for me, it's kind of a weird thing, and I don't know if you experienced this as well, but for me, I would be like, I know I'm amazing. Like, I literally have to show this, I want this person to love me. I need them to, I'm going to show them how amazing I am.
Yes.
And then you're pursuing someone that's not going to put in the effort.
Oh my God. Yes. And honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. Up until recently, I still was having these issues of wanting to prove myself to someone. And it wasn't until my another friend of mine told me, like, hey, have you thought about maybe looking into limerence? And maybe you struggle with that. And so I read this book, Living with Limerence. And if you guys don't know what limerence is, it's essentially over romanticizing and falling for an illusion, creating the story in your head of what it could be. So essentially falling for potential, right? And not only just falling for potential, but it's like you meet this person and right away there's an attraction for some reason. And so your mind goes off like, and I'm a Pisces moon, so I'm a dreamer, and I just be making up stories in my head. And I'm like, oh my God, like this. And so you start falling for the vision you see in your head instead of what's happening right in front of you. And so that's something that I still was working on through this year was, okay, I need to be present and not, first of all, not fall for just empty promises, because so many people say, oh, I'm like this, and I'm gonna do this for you, and I'm gonna do that for you. Okay, where's the action?
Exactly. I preach this on my page all the time. That's how guys like get women initially. A lot of them are a love bomber, and it may not be an extreme love bomber. It could be something anywhere on the spectrum, right? But this is why I don't ever, this is something I preach on my stories all the time. I never, when a guy asks you, what are you looking for in a guy? Do not answer that. Yeah. Do not answer. This is, and it seems like very harmless, right? On the surface, it seems very harmless. But in all actuality, it's a way for them, and maybe the man doesn't mean it, right? There's genuine guys out there. I've met them. I've had great success this last year. But what they do is they're trying to find, hey, how can I be this person for them for a short period of time to get what I want, such as get them in bed, right? So they will love bomb to a degree. They will give you this picture, because they know women over idealize and romanticize futures. They'll give you this picture of exactly what you were looking for, and then all of a sudden they're not that person, and then you become heartbroken very early on. I see it with my friends all the time. So I do not answer that question. Oh no, what are you going to prove to me? What do I say?
Yeah, what do you say back when they say like, what are you looking for in a guy or something?
True male provider. I mean, I'm very, just like you, I'm a very blunt girl now. Like I say exactly, and they're like, oh, well, what does that mean to you? And I'm like, well, they need to prove. This is something I'm very, very well known for. You cannot say anything to me and I believe it. Words mean absolutely nothing to me until you prove yourself consistently. The guy I'm with now, think he's phenomenal, but he must stay consistent over time. It is very important. And you have to keep that in your head over time, because again, women love to idealize, romanticize. The limerence is real. So
Yeah, yeah. And you know, if you guys do want to, you know, check that book out, it does talk about the psychological aspects and the chemical reaction in your brain. So it's not, you know, we all got shit that we got going on, and so don't blame yourself if this
Right.
is something that you're a victim of, but you don't got to stay a victim forever. This is a great book. It breaks down the psychology, it breaks down the chemical reaction, and it tells you the steps on how to overcome that, so that once you start feeling like you're falling for the limerence again, you stop yourself. And I think that everything happens in divine timing. And my sister telling me, oh, you should follow Nichole and watch her stories, really helped me open my eyes even more. Like, I thought I had high standards. I mean, but then I was settling. I mean, I obviously I haven't been in a relationship for like 3 years, which is, I never thought that would happen. I mean, I always say, if you would have told 16-year-old me, hey, when you're 37, you're going to be single and at least for 3 years and who knows how much longer, I think I would have gone into a deep depression, probably want to kill myself, because it was that important to me for me to find a partner. It was the only important thing in my life. And it wasn't even I wanted to get married or have kids. It was like, I just want my person so bad. Like, I just wanted that love so bad that I was settling without even realize that I was settling.
Yeah, no, I was the exact same way. I feel like a lot of people in our age demographic, I don't know what was on the media in that time, or if they, you know, if there was some influence.
Maybe the rise of, you know, I mean, I think like in starting with the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s, like everything kind of turned very over-sexualized. And we were over-sexualized as teenagers, and it was very much like, you know, I hated being called cute. I always wanted to be sexy or hot, you know, because it's like, that's what you were
I was
taught.
wearing Playboy Bunny t-shirts and when I was 14. Like,
it's
you remember that mall, Gadzooks?
Oh my
Do you
God,
remember
I
that?
forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like a teenage store like PacSun, but they would carry Playboy, and I was always like, Mom, I have to have the Playboy shirt. Why was I wearing that?
I know. I have a picture of me at 14 with a TikTok that says kissable, with 2 of my ex-boyfriends kneeling down next to me at church.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is wrong with me?
How was I allowed this?
How was I doing that? I was crazy, but yeah. So when you first started going on these dates with these guys, I remember it didn't start off with you saying, I want a provider right away.
No, yeah. This was like a progression. It was teaching myself to ask for more things, and it was hard.
Yeah.
There were periods of time where, like, you were there when I dated someone over the summer, and I thought he was a really decent guy, but I had my gut feeling that he wasn't going to be a true provider for me. So I gave him the conversation, and I was on my stories like shaking because I didn't know how I was going to even ask for that. And it got to a point where I was shaking and so nervous about asking for what I wanted, to then like, I'm just going to throw that in my profile. It's just going to be all out there. And if that weeds out everybody except for the one golden guy, and that's kind of where I feel like I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a slow progression. It went from still doing pick-me behavior straight after my ex to then like realizing, starting reading, starting gathering information, researching a little bit, learning. I was like, I can ask for that?
Yeah.
These women do this? You know, with the other, you know, I preach this all the time. You tell a man right away, no intimacy for 90 days.
Yeah.
See how that man reacts. It's all about the reaction. It's not actually like, I think 90 days is a great, like, let's do that if that's what you want. Like, I think that's a good thing to just honestly just say it.
Just say it and just see how
see
they
the
react.
reaction. Because if they're, oh my God, that's ridiculous. That's what I got 95% of the time. I cannot believe, like, I should have sex by the 3rd date. Where was this? Why is this a rule in our society? But it's so common.
Yeah. And speaking of, I think her rebuttal is so good, because she'd be like, okay, then give me money. And not in a like escort or, you know, selling my body type of way. But if men are so comfortable with asking us to give ourselves, our entire body to them without, just on a first, second, third date.
You bought me a few dinners, that's all.
Yeah, like that's it. Like, you think I'm that cheap? You know what I'm saying? Why are we so scared to ask men for money? Okay, then provide for me. Give me money. And then they're like, oh, wow, so you're a gold digger. And it's like, well, you're a whore. Like, why do you just want me to sleep with you right away? And I think that's a good way to put it. And it's not in a way of like you're selling yourself. It's a way of being like, if you
Show
think...
me my worth.
Yeah, if you think that giving my whole body, it's an energy exchange, you know, and I know people say it's not really sacred, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, do whatever you want, but she was taking this seriously. This is not just for hookups. She wanted to really find her partner, really have a legit relationship. And so this was serious to her. So she's not just going to go around sleeping with anybody. And so it's like, okay, well, if you're going to feel so comfortable to ask me to give my entire self to you, then you can fund my lifestyle and you can be the provider and you can start paying for things. And it will scare men off because they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, okay, well, go find a girl who's not gonna, you know,
ask for as much as I am.
Who's just gonna give it to you for nothing. Like, there's plenty of them out there. It doesn't have to be her, you know what I'm saying? So that was interesting. And I remember it started off with little things, like very small. I remember like the first thing was like, I want to date a guy who's got a boat and I can go out on the boat with him, or, you know, something like that. And it's like, I'm like, oh, you know, it's little stuff like that. And then it was like, I want a guy to take me to like really fine dining, you know? And then it was like that. And then it was like, I want to ask for more. I want a guy to take me shopping. And then it's like every single time that she would find a guy and he would fulfill what she wanted, she was like, wait, I think I can have more. And then she would ask for more. And then it was like she would just level up and level up and level up. And every time she thought like, oh my God, it can't get better. It just got better. And I think it's important to know what you want so that you can weed those guys out and you're not settling. And it was just so cool to see the progression of it, where it started off so small to then, you know, going on shopping trips where you're getting freaking, you know, $8,000 spent on you. Like, this is not a joke, you guys. This is for real. Like, she was having...
I thought it wasn't real. I thought there's no way that this could happen. But yeah, no sex involved whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I wanted someone to show me their value. I obviously wanted somebody that was in a financially very stable position and could just elevate my life, definitely. So yeah, I would just start asking for things and see how they valued me. One, it's a way to show, like, is this person going to be able to provide for me? Are they very stingy? I think I always talk about on my stories, like, they can be wealthy and they can also be dusty. They need to be actually generous to you. And and being generous is something that puts you into your feminine. In all honesty, for me, it's been something that's been like, oh my gosh, when my now boyfriend takes out all my friends last night to STK at a really nice dinner, like I just feel so valued. I feel like he's valuing my friendships. There's so much that comes along with it. And a lot of people are just going to tell you, oh, it's gold digger. It's this, you know, like you're asking for too much. It's like, no, they're valuing me. They're showing me that they're going to provide for me. They're showing their generosity. They're showing their love in a way. And I'm showing my love back in another way. But yeah, I would go out and I had no sex involved whatsoever. And yep, there was, you know, and I shared grave details on my close friend story. But yeah, I was like, hey, listen, you know, this is what I want for, you know, this special event, or I think this would make me very happy. And if someone valued me, it was $8,000 in one trip.
I think like another thing is that she was very adamant about knowing their income, which is important. If you're going to have a partner, you want to know what their income is, how much they make. And she said, okay, this is the minimum that they can make. And it sounds, I don't know, materialistic or whatever, but that's important. It's important to know your partner's finances. And
the whole background behind I had someone that I had dated that met my bare minimum. And if you guys want to know, my bare minimum is $400,000. And some of you might think that that's crazy. This economy is crazy. I understand. And I completely understand that. But that was my bare minimum. And I met a guy that had that, but he also had 3 kids. And he was still paying alimony for his last situation. And he was like, my ex-wife will not be paying for any of these kids' college. And these kids were all still in the house. So he's like, I'm going to be responsible for all that. And you think about all that, and you add it all together. And I do actually think this man was a great provider. He did everything in his power to give me exactly what I wanted. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the whole dynamic there was likely going to be like a little bit more limiting than what I wanted.
Right. That's something that we have to think about as well. There was something that the other thing I was going to say. So she did start dating someone. And like she said, you know, at first it seemed like he was a provider. And then it's like, the minute they get in a relationship, he's like, hey, we're gonna have to start splitting the meals. Splitting a meal. Not even like have your own meal and like let's split the bill. Like split a meal. That's insane. That was insane.
It was kind of his way of being like, oh, I'm still going to provide for you, but we need to now scale back. And that's the thing is like, these guys will come in hot, like pursuing you initially and trying to show you. And I was a lot more vocal with him than I had been in my past. It was definitely more of my transition towards like, I want a provider. I'm going to share this information with this guy. But yeah, like he was giving me everything. And then he was like, I want to be exclusive with you. And I actually agreed to it. Not 8 hours later was told that I need to start notching it back down. And I was like, oh no. This is not what I signed up for. You were a completely different person until we got into a relationship. And
right. Was he the one that you went on the hike with and drank all the water?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I had issues with my ex being a hypochondriac. It made me feel like he was very not masculine. And like I always had to be the caregiver. Like I was mothering a grown adult, like I had said earlier. And so the minute I get hints of hypochondriac in anyone, it's like, but yeah, I went on a very long hike with this person. And not only was I told earlier in the day that I needed to share a meal, but he started to have an episode of like elevation sickness. And he just really got in his own head. And I saw the hypochondriac and it definitely triggered me because of my past experiences. But also we still had 2.5 hours left on this hike and he drank every drop of water. So I started getting nervous myself because I was like, this is not a protector and provider. This is not like he's not protecting me right now.
Right.
You need to put aside like, okay, I definitely need more water right now. You can definitely have more of the electrolytes, but you need to make sure that I'm also like protected in this environment.
Because
the same thing could happen to me. I could have heat exhaustion.
Had the rest of the hike to go.
It was the middle of summer hiking.
I think you said you had to get water from other people.
Yeah.
That's wild. See, these are the little things you guys have to pay attention to because if a guy is putting himself first, he's not going to really care about providing for you. He's always going to put himself first.
And it's very important to me also to have both the protector and the provider. Like I want to be protected. Yeah. Like my mom provided for me my whole entire life. One of my goals with my job was to also provide for her fully. So like when I go into a relationship, I literally tell them like, I want my mom to be taken care of. Like it's not just me, it's a package deal. They know that going in. So if they can't like help with her medical bills and help with these various things that are important to me, just like it might be important for you to have your kids taken care of and you want to provide for your family in a different way, or your friends that are also considered family, because I consider my friends, like some of my friends, as family because they've been there my entire life. But regardless, I want both. I definitely want a very masculine man that's going to be able to like, I'm stepping up to the plate to take care of this woman, not drinking all the water.
Yeah. I think that you were saying, I think it's really important to date someone. I think you were saying like get to know someone for like a year before you really get into a relationship. That was something that you were saying for a minute because
I was telling the guys I was dating, because there was one I had dated for an extended period of time. I had known him since like April of this year, and before I committed to the guy I'm with now, I had known him for an extended period of time. Great guy, but yeah, I kept asking to be a boyfriend and girlfriend, and I said, I need to know you for a lot longer. I need to know this dynamic is real. I need to know. But honestly, I'll be very frank and very honest that I got into this recent relationship only after a month because it felt so right, and I was holding off in so many other situations where I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I held off in so many other situations because there was like this gut instinct, and I think that's something I preach on my page too, is that really, really be in tune with your gut instincts. And when I thought about not having the guy I'm with now, I mean, we've only been official for a couple days, but not being with him was painful to me. And I was like, no, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And honestly, if for some reason it falls off the map, he's told me over and over again, only for a month, but he's told me over and over again, like, I want to make changes if for some reason I am not giving you what you need. I want to be that person for you. So obviously you have to make sure that someone continues to prove themselves. So even though I have committed to an exclusive relationship, I'm going to make sure that we both prove to each other that we're good partners for each other.
Yeah, and I think the situation is a little different just because you have been dating for men for a year to really, and you've been able to really get a feel for guys, and you've really been listening to your gut, and you've been really in tune with it. And I think whenever other guys wanted, to be your boyfriend or whatever, there were a few that you said yes to and then broke up with right away just because they flipped it on you. But there were some that did want to date you, and you were like, I'm not ready. And I think that that's important, because it was like you instinctively
there was something,
knew.
Not a bad guy.
It's just like, I don't know if this is 100% what I want. And when you met your now boyfriend, I think just right away, I mean, okay, so first of all, she was on the dating apps. So you were Tinder, Bumble, which Bumble you didn't really do too much.
Really do much of that,
because you would have to initiate, and that's putting you in your masculine. Yeah, I don't know why they do that. So Tinder, Bumble, and then you did do seeking arrangements. Yes. So seeking arrangements is to find men who are wealthier, but I think that people think it's like a trade-off, like you're getting money and then you just sleep with these guys. But she was very, very clear on her profile. I'm here for a legitimate relationship. And I think that and this was like after months of dating on the regular apps, that you finally joined that because you got more confident in yourself and asking for what you wanted.
Yep.
Because you were just doing it little by little. And she would share like her text messages or her profile, whatever she put on there. And then when she got on seeking arrangements, some guys were just like, oh, okay, well, expecting, if I'm gonna give you money, you got to do this.
Definitely sexual favors were, I was like so off put by it. I don't know if you remember this, that I was like, I'm getting off. I can't do this because this is just so sexual. And I literally put on there, but you know how guys are on dating apps. They look at the pictures, they like what they see, they'll message you. But yeah, some of the offers were just crazy and out there. And I was like, did you read the profile? Please read the profile, even though I know some of them will not.
And I think that just getting on there for a little bit just really helped you even more be confident, ask for what you wanted, because you know that you're going into that site and men have to make a certain amount of money to be there. So it's not like it was out of the norm to ask.
Well, what was cool about it too is that it's free for women to be on seeking arrangements, but the men have to pay like $150 a month.
Wow.
So there was like, okay, if a man's really serious about like proving his income, you had to put your income on there. And like there's even a section, I think it was optional, but a lot of people would say net worth, because someone could be like, well, I inherited a lot, or I sold these businesses, but now I'm only making $200,000 a year technically, but my net worth is like 10 million because I've sold all these businesses. So and like guys were it was kind of cool to see, because guys were so prideful on there. Oh, yeah. They were like, did you see my net worth? And I was like, okay. Like they were like very like proud of the fact that they were masculine. So it was, even though a lot of it was more of a like in a sexual way, like, hey, I want you to provide this for me in this way. And I was like, absolutely not. Did you read the profile? And it was cool to see that men were, it was the first time I really experienced a vast majority of men being like, this is what I bring to, like, this is what I offer. And I had been seeing all these men nowadays that have been more like, no, you need to bring it financially to me. Yeah.
Right.
And it was like, no, and a lot of them, honestly, a lot of the profiles were like, I'm looking, even if they were like, this is kind of weird because some of them were married and they were like, I'm just looking for something like a third and my wife's okay with it, or, you got all sorts of strange things on there. But, mine said, I want a long-term partner. I am looking for that. And I ended up dating somebody off there that also wanted the same thing. Now that's a whole nother story, but,
it didn't work out. But still, I think that was a good stepping stone, because did you get off that right before you got back on Hinge, or was it
Yes.
Yeah, so she gets off that, and one of your friends told you like, hey, I actually have been finding some provider men on Hinge, which is crazy to us because you don't have to pay for Hinge. You don't have to. I mean, you did, but you don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
And so she was like, okay, let me go back, give it a shot. And that's where you met your recent boyfriend, who is the most provider male that she has found in this entire year. And I think that like saying, oh, it's only been a month seems really quick. And even I was, and she was too. She was being very logical.
I told him no initially, actually.
Yeah, she was being very logical. She's like, it's only been a month and whatever. But they met right before her birthday. And I remember her telling him, oh, my birthday's coming up. It was like 5 days before. And it was like every single day he would text her counting down to her birthday. And I'm like, that's so sweet. That's so cute because like...
Very intentional, very like thoughtful. Oh, we love that. So, and then, you know, the day before my birthday, sends a gift. I got little bundt cakes in the day before, and then he hadn't even met me yet.
Yeah.
So this man is already showing me, and I know it sounds like financial things, and it definitely is, but it's like showing me my value before even meeting me, because we had like great text banter. I was really feeling the vibe very early on, even before we even met in person. The way he commented on my profile, he reached out to me first.
Wait, actually, let's rewind. So let's talk about what you put on your Hinge profile after it's been a while. You already did it the first time around. Now you did seeking arrangements. So now you feel even more confident and secure in writing exactly what you want on your Hinge. And so what did you put on your Hinge profile?
Yeah, this is interesting, and people definitely harassed me about this. I got a lot of harassment from men, actually, sending me comments, and since I paid for a premium Hinge profile, I got to see all of the comments. But I said I like fine dining, I like to be, you know, because they have all these prompts on Hinge where it's like, you know, what's your ideal first date? And I was like, taking me shopping, going to fine dining, doing these things, and like someone that's not willing to do those things, or like, oh my gosh, I date all these women, so why would I do all of this stuff for this one woman? It's like, well, then he's not dating with the intention of finding his long-term partner. If he's going to tell, I got told that constantly before, like, well, I only do coffee dates because like I can't afford to do fine dining for every woman I take out on a date. Okay, well then you're obviously not valuing situations with women.
Right.
You're like mass going out with people, which is fine if that's what you want to do, but I'm looking for something very intentional. I want to be shown value very early on so that I know someone's serious about something long term and not just this quick fix that a lot of this scrolling on Tinder, Bumble, or whatever is.
Right.
So yeah, I said I want fine dining. I'd like to, my ideal first date is like being taken shopping. And I mean, my now boyfriend like reached out to me and was like, I said that I wanted a traditional male-female dynamic. And I think that's all for a lot of people. That was really weird to hear from someone that's really provides fairly well for myself as a PhD chemist and been in the industry for 8 years now. So for him to appreciate not only that side of me, the intelligent go-getter kind of masculine features that I do already have because of my upbringing, he was also able to appreciate, wow, this is what's going to really get her into her feminine. And so first date, I go out with him and he takes me to Louis Vuitton and gets me a wallet, and then he takes me...
Wait, and then you did try on some sunglasses.
Oh, yes. I tried on some sunglasses and I was like so in love with them, but I like put them back. I already knew it was a first date, so it was already hard for me. Like, that was the first time on a first date that I had ever like had something like that lavish. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to put these back. It was already so nice to get like a $600 wallet, you know, and then he was like, we should go somewhere else and get you something else. So I like, it was really cute because I like got to try on like cute Lululemon outfits. I'm a big like gym rat. So I picked out some things that I liked at Lululemon, and then he got them for me as well. And it was just like, I just felt very valued early on. I wasn't sure, like, okay, is this real? Is he okay with this? Is this going to be like a big turn off to him? But I kept hearing time and time again from him after I continued to talk to him. He was like, you know what? Even if you said you didn't want to see me again, I made some girl's day. Like that was enough for me.
Yeah. I remember you saying that.
And like, he totally felt that way. He was like, you know, and he put in effort even before even meeting me. And I was like, what if I wasn't who I said I was? Because some people are so afraid of catfishing. I was like, what if I wasn't attractive to you when you saw me for the first time, or we didn't hit it off? He's like, then I made your birthday a little bit more special.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, the difference in some of the previous guys that you were dating is they kind of throw it back in your face.
$8,000 shopping spree day.
Oh, well.
Threw it in my face.
Well, you're still going to be with me, right? Because I'm buying you these things. And it's like, the difference is that her now boyfriend said, without even meeting her, oh, well, like, it's your birthday. I'm happy to gift this to you for your birthday. If you're lying, then you're lying. It's like, there's such a difference in dynamic. And then there was another guy that she was dating who was providing a lot. I do want to make it clear that the more that she dated, the more that she leveled up, and the more that she got exactly what she asked for. What was her name? Sharia 7?
Oh, Shira 7.
Shira 7. I don't know if you guys have heard of her, but you know, it's kind of like that dynamic. It's like, you know, oh, what do you bring what do you bring to the table? And so every time, you know, she started just being like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. And I remember one of the guys that you were dating would be like, kind of giving maybe a little dusty energy, and you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, this isn't for me. And then they'd be like, okay, no, like, what do you need? What do you want? What I want to keep you. So what do I have to do? And then they start stepping up to the plate. You have to set those boundaries if that's what you want. And if they really care about you and they really want you to stick around, they will step up. They will step up.
Yeah, I think that guy did a great job of, when I told him he wanted to take me kind of like to a dining place that I wouldn't have been interested in. I really love fine dining. So when I go out and I'm going to enjoy the calories, I want it to be something I really enjoy. So I was like, I'm not going to go out with you to that place. And he was like, okay, well, what place is it then?
Right, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't always have like really nice dining experiences. And I was like, well, okay, well then I'm going to go do something else with my friends, you know? And he was like, okay, what place is going to get you on a date with me, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And so I think that that's important. I think we have to just, I think a lot of women are fearful to lose something, but you will never lose what is meant for you. Everything will always find you. And the more that you stand firm in what you want, the more opportunity you have for the right person to come in. And that's what you were doing. You were saying no to these men who weren't meeting, like they weren't the full potential. They were like just almost there.
Yep.
But then there were little things that you're like, I just don't think it's 100% there. And I think that that's why when your now boyfriend came in, you were able, I mean, and I'm telling you, this is like actively dating for like the last year. This is, I was exhausted just watching her. So I think that helped once this guy came in, for you to just see the difference in him compared to the other guys.
The effort was just next level, and that's what was important to me.
Yeah,
like I said many times. Obviously, I can provide for myself, but when a guy invests in a woman, he's less likely to walk away. The more you invest in something, the less likely you are to walk away from it.
Right,
and that's like my whole philosophy: is these men are investing in me to show me my worth, and obviously I need that consistency, and that's why I always said, like, don't get into a relationship for a year, and here I am a month in, but the situation's just too good, and I didn't want anything else once I had exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, and it's not just a financial thing. It was emotional support, the way that he you know, treated her, even just before meeting her, with just being so mindful of remembering, like, because I remember at the time you were like, wow, I've told other guys on these apps that my birthday's coming up and they could give two shits. Like, they didn't even make a comment about it.
It made him so much more attractive to me.
Yeah, and it was just him being so mindful of like, oh my God, your birthday's coming up, and, you know, sending you little gifts before you and meeting up. And it's like, again, it could come off as love bombing, but there's always an exception to the rule. And so far, he seems like the exception to the rule. He was married. He said he hasn't like really asked anybody to be his girlfriend for like in 20 years, essentially. Mm-hmm. So I was telling her, this is proof that dating was different 20 years ago, because now dating is non-existent. Courting is non-existent. And I feel like what he was doing was courting her. It was very just traditional. Like, I like this girl. I'm going to show her that I like her. I have the money to show her that I like her. And it's not, I want to make it clear that it's not a gold digging or materialistic thing. I think what she said is important, that it's an investment. When men invest in someone, because we get wrapped up with these men emotionally because we sleep with them right away, and that's an energy exchange. And whether you want to believe it or not, the minute you exchange that, because you just
kind of emotional bond with them.
You make this emotional bond and you get a little attached. And I remember, you were very big on do not get attached and be unbothered. That is a huge thing. Be unbothered. She wasn't sitting here next to her phone waiting for them to text or call. She was just living her life. Honestly, sometimes
if that guy's not gonna take me out, somebody else will.
Yeah, sometimes. Oh, and then that's another thing. You know, she was dating the hot guys at first. It's like, oh, the 6'4" abs, hot guy, whatever. And they were treating her like shit.
Garbage.
And they would be like, well, where are you going to find something like this? On the corner. Like, you're everywhere. Like, a guy with a penis, you're everywhere. It's not that difficult to find. We need more substance. And I think a lot of these guys think, like, I'm hot, so what else do you need? And it's like,
oh, they will utilize that to their like advantage, because a lot of women are going to sleep with them. I've seen, and you know what, no shade to any woman that's done this, but I've seen on like the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook pages where the women come out and they actually talk about like, hey, is anyone talking to him? I'm really interested in him. And you know, you hear, for those of you that know about it, women, it's kind of sad. Like, you can open up your phone and you're like, oh God, this girl got like treated terribly. But I would see on there like a hot guy would get posted, and then there'd be this whole rattling off of like all the mean things or terrible things that he did to this girl. And then there would be girls underneath like, oh, I'd still sleep with him. Send him my way when you're done with him. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
But they're getting this attention all the time, so they don't have to commit to you.
Right.
There's definitely guys out there that are the aesthetically perfect abs that are great guys, and we know that they're there. But a lot of them, like, I just kept telling girls, watch for their effort, what they're doing for you. Don't fixate so much on the abs. But every guy that I dated that was like, a gym rat like I am, was like, like, how could you leave this? How could you leave this body? And you're like, what are you doing for me?
Yeah.
You're not elevating my life in any way. I'm going to have to like downgrade. Some of them wanted kids, and it's like, I've never wanted kids, but like some of them wanted kids and would talk about it a little bit. And I'd be like, so you legitimately want me to continue working full time and take care of kids and do all the motherly things on top of also doing like a very masculine role. And it was just unrealistic to me.
Yeah, no. And yeah, so I think it's important to point out that looks don't last forever. And it's not just about the sex. Like, that's not all it is. And
we've been fed this for so long now. Like, women want it too. Yes, of course, it's great. But that drives me nuts. Like, when guys are like, how are you going to have like this sex ever again? Or I'm going to provide you with something like these other guys are never going to provide you with, like, physically. And you're like, I don't feel physically attracted or bonded to guys anymore in my unbothered life unless they are this masculine man that's providing for me.
I think something else that that we've noticed is, and that we're learning now, is we shouldn't have that initial spark and reaction, because it's your trauma it's like your past trauma just reacting. When you get those butterflies in your stomach, it's your body reacting to familiarity. So you see someone and because we're energy beings, the energy recognizes the energy, and so it's like boop, a little spark, and you're like, oh my God, this must be the person. But I don't think any time that you've gotten butterflies in your stomach, it's ever worked out well.
Well, initially, initial like immediate spark. Yeah. Like, I don't get sparks anymore until like someone proves themselves. Right. But I had to train myself to get there. Yeah. Because you can just see someone and meet them at a bar and like, oh my gosh. And my friends would tell me, I remember when I met a guy at a bar here in Salt Lake City, and I found him very physically attractive right on the onset. And I like called him right away, and she's like, put your phone down, stop being, and I loved her for that. Cause like now I thought about that, like moving forward. She was like, don't pursue him. Stop being so forward with them. They need to do it for you. Right. But I like called him the same night because he had given me his number.
Oh, and that's so me though.
Yeah, like, well, I'm so forward.
Yeah,
I'm
so forward. I'm like, hi, let's go out, let's hang out, whatever. And it's like, oh God, okay, I can't do that. But the other thing is,
Piper?
What's wrong, Piper? The other thing is, people may see it as, she makes these guys go take her shopping and buy all these things. Oh, that's a gold digger, materialistic. But she made a very good point. She said, I'm thinking long term. If God forbid something happens with me or my family and I need money to help us out, I can sell these things. They're very high value things that I can sell in return for money to help my family out. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about. They just think, oh, that's gold digging, materialistic.
This Chanel bag or whatever.
She got this and she got that for thousands of dollars. And so, all she cares about is just collecting all these things. And it was very smart of her to say, no, this is an investment. I think you actually told one of the guys that, hey, I think you told one of the guys that, and he was like, oh, like he didn't even realize that you were like, this is an investment, and this is because I think she had like posted on her Facebook some of the gifts that she got, and guys get very upset about that, and so guys were attacking her. Why are you posting this, blah blah blah, and you know, you're coming off for this way or whatever. And she's like me, we love calling people out and we love teaching lessons. So she let him know, well, you know what, this is actually an investment that if God forbid something happens, I can sell and I can help. And it really like shut them up. It was like, oh wow, I didn't.
They were like, oh, you're being so intentional with this. And it's like, absolutely. I definitely, in a hot second, would sell a designer bag to help my mom with medical bills or whatever she needed. And that was honestly my intention, was to be like, okay, show me my value to you. If if they can ask for sex, you can ask for money, like that's
or gifts or
whatever. And it's like, but legitimately I would do that. And it was honestly, when the hurricane hit Florida, I would ask the guys I was dating, I'd be like, hey, my friend lost power, would you mind helping my friend? And it was a legitimate ask, something that people lost power, and I'd be like, could you please send money to help my friend? And they would do it. And that made me feel very valued, because they were not only taking care of me, but they were also taking care of my friends. And that's very, very important, that to show that their generosity extended, even just beyond like the gift giving. It just shows a lot about a person for them to invest in you in that way. And yes, in a hot second, I would sell any purse that I've got, any high-end gift that I've got, to make sure that my family was taken care of. So all of it's very intentional on my end. I tell all my friends, go into dating and making sure you get something out of every situation you walk into.
Yeah, because you never know where it's gonna go, and so you want to make sure
people lie, and it's sad. It's dating 2024 right now. It's a sad reality, but if you walk into it with that mindset, then you're not going to be as emotionally attached. And that's where I'm trying to like get women, and I'm trying to teach that, is to go into that situation, try to be unbothered, train yourself, because it's not easy. I'm not just saying you can switch it on. It was not easy for me. I got emotionally attached at some point with certain guys, and I would try to be very, just like her, I'm very bold and outspoken, and on my close friends list, I literally shared like, wow, I'm feeling very bothered right now. Yeah. Like, this is getting to me, and I preach the unbothered life. But yeah, it was very hard. You had to train yourself, like, okay, what am I getting out of this? How am I helping my family? How am I helping my situation be better financially? And as long as like that was being fulfilled by a guy, then he proved himself over time, then I would continue seeing him. But then, once you have like an amazing situation, like I feel like I've walked into finally, But again, like, it was a full-time job. It was so much time and effort.
A lot of trial and error.
A lot of like going out on like 5 different dates with 5 different people in 1 week. Like, it was tough. But yeah, if I stated my standards, no intimacy for 90 days. Oh man, you see how many men will run after that? Oh, funny.
And it's great.
It's great.
You want to weed these people out.
And why is it so typical to have, like, after 3 dates, the standard is to sleep with somebody? Absolutely not. You don't get to ask me for that. Yeah. And then men find it very offensive in some cases that we ask for, like, a nice gift, a nice dinner, or to be provided for in some capacity. Like, oh, how dare you? Oh, how dare I give up my virtue for you after... How dare you ask for my virtue after 3 days?
Like on your body is invaluable. You can't put a price on your body, your
mental health, your emotional health.
Everything,
becoming too attached to a situation that wasn't right for you from the get-go.
Yeah, and they'd be just, I'm sorry, but most 99% of men, they're not out here thinking twice about how they're fucking a girl over. They're not out here thinking twice about dating multiple girls, sleeping with multiple girls. They don't care. And it's like, the minute you turn it around on them, oh, how dare you? You're like this, and that. So they don't want you to play their game. They don't want to see that you can, okay, well, let's play chess. You want to play checkers? Let's play chess. And then you beat them at their own game, and they get mad about that. And anytime she posts something, the Dusties come out of the woodworks, and they just she was.
I would do it sometimes just to
trigger them.
Well, not even just that, but like some of them would be sliding in DMs or stuff like that. So I'm to weed them out, like, quit bothering me. I would post like a new purse I got or something, and it'd be like, they'd be like, oh crap, I can't do that. Good. Move on.
Stop jamming me.
Yeah, stop harassing me via DM. But
so I think through the whole journey, I think that that's why once she met this guy, she saw the difference in him, and she really did manifest this. And again, she's not someone who initially really even knew or believed in manifestation.
Yeah. If you would have told me that before I started this journey, I'd be like, no, I don't think, like, I'm very like concrete because of having like a scientific background. I need the evidence. But
Right.
I saw people online preaching about it, and I was like, well, what's the harm in at least trying?
Yeah.
And seeing if that's possible. Is there an actual good male provider out there that's going to put me in this actual great feminine era? Because I don't think I've ever felt it, so I don't even know what it would be like, you know? And then once I had it for a very short period of time, I was like, I have to have this person. This person's giving me all these feels. And I started becoming emotionally attached, and I was like, what's going on? I'm a very like unbothered human. I can't do this. Like, I preach this all the time, but it's because I'm attached without even having the sex. I was super attached to him, and that was important for me.
Yeah,
because
you guys even became official before you slept together.
Yes.
Like, how traditional. We love that.
So yeah, it was just like, it was very, very
And
weird for me, because I was like, I'm attached to this person, but I haven't even slept with them yet.
Yeah.
And my girlfriends were like, this is such a good sign.
Yeah,
my friends were reaching out to me being like, you don't have the false sense of attachment because you've had sex with him. You've literally grown in love in a sense without having that. And I was like, oh, this might be real.
Yeah. You guys just built this emotional connection.
Yep. And there was no pressure the whole time.
No pressure.
Because you know what? And this is something I learned through my recent boyfriend. He told me, well, what's 3 months? What's 90 days when I plan to actually have a full long-term relationship with you? And all of a sudden I was like,
it's so true. We are always rushing to this finish line. What's the rush? What is the rush? I think when he first asked you to be his girlfriend, you were like, I want to say yes right away, because
my initial gut instinct was.
She felt it. She was like, yes, this is exactly what I've been wanting. This is what I've been searching for. But then logically, she was like, it's too soon. It's too soon.
Because I've made all these rules for myself, and he was like breaking them within a month, and I'm like, shit, I'm definitely bothered. I'm definitely emotionally attached to this person. I'm so good about not doing that, and if I feel a tinge of it, I can pull myself out of it now because I've trained myself to do that. So when I started feeling this, I was like, okay, either this is real, I should lean into it, or like, I know my logical side, because I've trained myself to be more logical this year, was just like fighting me hard. So I told him no the first night, but 24 hours later, I couldn't. I was like, I have to have this. I have to have him. This is the right situation. This is what I've been looking for.
Yeah, I think that we sometimes think things might be too good to be true, but when you're someone like Nichole, who really did the work, set boundaries, did everything intentionally, you will get exactly what you ask for. Like I always say, you know, if you can dream it, you can have it. When you have an idea in your head, it's because it's out there, and you just have to be patient and stand firm and strong in what you want.
You have to do the work. You have to do some work yourself.
Yeah, you do have to do some work. I think that a lot of us want to have these things, but then we don't want to really do the work, and we're like, oh, it'll just come.
A lot of my friends will do that. They'll be like, oh, I just didn't really reach back out to the guy I was interested in because I'm busy doing other things. But I was super intentional. I was like, if someone messaged me that was giving me effort, I tried to match that energy, you know? And if they weren't, then they just fell off the map of the earth, you know?
Yeah, and I think she's just a perfect example of like, when you know, you know. You know, so many people have these rules and regulations, and this is what we're gonna do, and then all of a sudden they meet that person. It's like, the rules went out the window. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. It was just the perfect match.
It was literally, I couldn't control it, and I had not felt. I have been so logical with everything I've done, and I've had these rules, and I even shared the rules with him, and every time I came back and I was like, no intimacies for 90 days, he's like, if you need more time than that, like, no pressure, was so good. Every response I had, even when I told him no, someone made a really good comment on my stories and was like, oh, you told him no, that's great. One, because you get to see his reaction and see, like, a true narcissist does not like to be told no.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really cool to hear that perspective as well. I was like, I obviously didn't think he was. But yeah, like telling him no and hearing like, I was like, hey, I need more proof from you. That was my initial discussion with him. Like, I need more proof from you to make sure that this is the right thing for me, even though I'm all invested in this and really want this from you. Like, I need more proof. And that was my logical side, like, really kicking in after my gut instinct was to say yes. And my logical side kicked in on the first night that he had asked me. And yeah, after that, like, I just knew that it was the right situation.
But it's because of the way he responded as well. He said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to pressure you.
Yeah.
That wasn't my intention. I haven't asked anybody to be my girlfriend in so long. Like, I didn't know if it was this too soon.
He's like, is it too soon?
Is it too soon? Like, I'll wait, you know, if that's what you want. And like, that's what you want. You want someone who values you and who is willing to wait.
He's like, I'm still going to pursue you. I'm still like, he's like, unless you tell me that this is not the right situation for you, I'm still going to come after you. I'm still going to pursue you. But I also want it on your own time. And just the reaction, every time he had a reaction to something that I, like a rule or a standard that I had, or me just sharing that information with him, he was just flawless. Because he wanted something long-term. A guy is going to be flawless and is going to give you these answers that are very, like, no pressure. I want what's right for us. I'm willing to wait for intimacies. All of those things when they are looking for something long-term.
Yeah, and first, I do want to say that I am sure there are going to be people out here thinking, well, of course that's going to happen to her. Look at her. She's hot. She's blonde. She's fit. She's got a PhD. She's this. Of course she's going to have these guys giving her whatever she wants. But like, no offense, but there are some ugly, fat, whatever, broke bitches who get people to do whatever they want for them. It's all about your mindset. It is all about your mindset.
Yes, I actually heard on Shira 7, who's very blunt about her dating, but honestly has great commentary.
I love it.
We love it. It's great. We love her. I actually learned tactics from her, and I was like, that's not going to work. There's no way that's going to work. And then I would utilize them, and boom, like I would get what I wanted. I was like,
in reality, men love bitches. I will say, men love bitches. Men love women who know what. And they say bitches, but like men love women who know what they want and who value themselves. Real men who are in their masculine and are secure and are emotionally mature love a woman who knows her worth.
Who has standards.
And has standards. Because then they know she's not just going to settle for anybody. Well, and if she picks me, then that means that I'm valuable, that I'm worth something. Like, she sees that in me. And I think that's probably how your boyfriend feels now, is like, wow, like, she picked me. You know, and that's,
he definitely feels that
you
way.
Don't want to, you know, we started off being pick me. He's like, I want him to pick me. Now it's like, do I even want you? And so now it's like, now the men, we've turned it around on them and been like, you know, now he's like, wait, pick me, you know, and now it's like, oh, she picked me, you know, and that's what we want. We want, you know, to feel like we're the prize.
Yeah, Shira 7, what I was going to say was, no, you're fine. Shira 7, I wanted to keep it at the top of my head. Shira 7 actually said, how come these women on My 400-Pound Life, you know, that TV show, how come these women have men literally following her, like, you see them. I've seen the show where these women, you know, they're a different demographic than me, but like they're struggling with their weight. When they have these men literally catering to them and helping them through this weight loss journey. And it's like, I personally feel like any woman can have this. And I have, through my stories on the Dating Chronicles, I've actually like I'm not like a professional coach or anything, but I will have people reach out to me and ask, like, how would you respond to this as someone that likes the male-female dynamic? How would you respond to this? How would you do this? Or like, hey, you've actually helped me raise my standards, and they're a completely different demographic than me and have also found provider men. So I do think that it's possible, as long as you keep your standards high, you be very firm with what you want, you can find a very good man. I feel like I'm in a very good situation, the best situation I've ever had in my entire life, and we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah, and I will testify to that, because I do have some of my followers who I've, you know, got them to follow her, and they've told me like, oh my God, ever since watching her and with me and stuff, but really watching her, like, it really helped me see that I was settling, and it helped me change my perspective. And now I'm not scared, you know, to speak up for myself and to ask for these things. And if they don't want to provide it, then they can go, because I'm tired of being the one to have to provide for these men when they should be the ones.
It's wild how like the women have gotten into this point where they're literally taking care of everything.
Yeah.
They're providing for the men, and they're still being the super feminine supportive side. Like, I kept being told by my ex consistently that I wasn't supportive enough. So when I started meeting these actual very good provider men, and they were like, "You're so loving and caring," I was like, "Am I?"
Yeah.
He told me my entire 5 years that I was never enough.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I do want to vouch for her new boyfriend because I love that they became official right before I came on this trip, because I'm like, yay, I get to celebrate your relationship. Like, watching the journey, of her dating and trying to find the right person, and then to now have found the person that she wanted. Like, she envisioned this person, and then it came. And so now they're together, and I got to meet him. So we went out to dinner, and I got emotional. I actually, like, and just even thinking about it, I get emotional because it's so rare to see somebody like how he treats her. And it's like so sad that it's such a rarity. But not only her, he cares about her dog, her mother, her family, her friends. And yeah, it's early, but he doesn't have to do these things. He didn't have to take us out to dinner last night to STK. I mean, look up the menu, you guys. It's not cheap, And
it was basically whatever you girls want. Like,
whatever.
I want to like provide for you, all of you. Like, those are your friends. They're my friends now too,
Yeah, and he's just so sweet. He's so kind, and it was beautiful because she ended up leaving the table to go to the bathroom. So I started talking to him, and he told me, a few years ago, he was married, they were separated, divorced, and everything, and he just realized, like, a few years ago, he had an idea in his head of what he wanted in a woman and what he wanted in a relationship, and he just wasn't coming across that. He just wasn't finding that. And what he wanted was what she was looking for, the male female dynamic. And he wanted somebody that was really in her feminine. And so when he saw her profile, he said, on these dating apps, they want you to like each other because you both like to mountain bike, or you like to go on hikes, like, it's like those type of things, very surface level, whatever. But she had a little more depth in her profile, and he saw that, and he was like, wow, this is what I want. And so they start talking, and you would think that with the things she was saying on her profile, it would scare men away, but it only is going to attract the right person, because there is somebody for everybody out there. Just like I always say, there's an audience for everyone. Like, anyone can have an audience if you want. Just put it out there. You'll find your people. Same thing. You just stay true to yourself, and the right person will come along. And so I was trying not to cry when he was talking to me, because he's like, oh, God, I get emotional every time I talk about it. I'm like, that's why I grabbed the tissues, because I was like, he said, like, Nichole tells me about the other guys that she's dated, and that, because I told him, I love that you don't want to make her smaller, that you don't want her to dim her light, because Nichole, like, right now, she's very dressed down. Okay, this is dressing down for her. She is very extravagant. She loves dressing up, looking cute. I mean, like, Utah's very conservative, so she's very expressive and big personality out here, And so most people will be like, okay, tone it down, Nichole, it's a little much. Like, let's not offend people with who you are. And I've been told that, I've been told, even my own mother, like in Spanish, you say, con la boca calladita te ves más bonita, which is like, with your mouth shut, you look prettier. And like, that's such a horrible thing to say to someone. Just keep your mouth shut, don't talk. Like, be small, be quiet. And so that's why I'm so expressive now, because I had to hold so much in. And I think with you having to also keep so much in with your ex, definitely. I think sharing on close friends was such a great outlet for you.
Yeah, it was honestly more therapy for me initially.
It's such therapy to share, and I think it's important to share. I think that if people
gave you a different perspective, even if you didn't agree with it, it was really cool.
And she's so great about that. Like, she's so balanced,
very open.
She's very open. She doesn't take anything personal. She's just very logical about things, and she's very accepting of whatever anyone's opinion is. Some people don't like the way she goes about things. She's not going to get mad. Everybody's different. Yep. We're all here for different purposes and different paths. But to experience that firsthand, and him say, yeah, Nichole's told me about, guys that she's dated, and they've told her that they want to make her smaller. And he's like, you met her being this way, and now you want to change her. And he's like, what I love about her is how she is. I love that she's so expressive. I love that she wants to dress up. I love that she wants to be essentially so extra. And I was like, oh, that is just so beautiful because I told him, I said, you seem very emotionally mature.
Yeah.
And you seem very secure in yourself.
He is, yeah.
And a lot of men and just people nowadays, they're not secure. They don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And so they want to keep people down, especially their partners, so that they feel better about themselves and they feel like the bigger person.
That was my ex, yep.
And it's like he wants the world to see her. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what you want. You want someone who's proud to show you off. And he's like, I would never ask her to be anything less because this is all I've wanted. Like exactly how she is what I've been wanting. And so I told him, this is why I believe in string theory. I believe that no matter what, you're going to end up where you're supposed to end up. And had she not gone through her journey and what she went through to raise herself up and build herself up, and him not gone through his journey of dating people or being married or whatever and being like, oh man, there's got to be more out there, they would not have found each other. And the other thing I wanted to say is, sometimes people think, oh, well, I can still hook up with this person and still find my person. Maybe. But to me, because I think everything is an energetic exchange. I think if you are, let's say she was still messing around with her ex who's very toxic, I don't think that her new boyfriend would have entered the picture because they're not at a vibrational, like, equal frequency. So she had to remove the toxicity. She had to keep saying no to what she did not want. And that's what I preach is say no to what you don't want, because the universe or God or whatever, it's going to match what you do want. If you say yes to the toxicity, if you say yes and you keep in that loop, in that cycle, you're going to keep getting that, because the universe and the law of attraction and everything just thinks, oh, they're loving this. They want to stay in this cycle. You don't give room for the other things to come in. So you have to, it may be hard. It's hard to block these things out. It's hard to cut these things out. But once you remove that energy out, then you're open to receiving that. And now, because they are now vibrating at the same frequency, they both wanted exactly what the other person has, then they came together. And that's why I think that it's different. It's like not so much of the love bombing and rushing because it's only been a month. It was intentional. They both knew what they wanted. They both knew what they wanted. He wasn't sitting here swiping yes on everybody. He was intentional with it. She was intentional with it. And they came together in perfect alignment and the perfect timing. And it was just, and now here we are. And he took us out last night. It was so nice to, like, I think a part of me really wanted my friends to get a good grasp of him, to give me like their reading of him, like get that good energy, because I'm just seeing good things. And it was so like key for me to have friends there to be like, wow, this is really good. Because I'm like, is it this good? You know, like, yeah. I still question sometimes, like, it seems so good to be true, but it really is. And then for like my friends to also know that this is out there. Mm-hmm. I think like that's been really cool for me on my close friend stories to share, like, yep, here's a Dusty. Yep, here we go again. And I went through the gambit. I went through sharing all the stories, and someone seemed so great. And then I had to retract and be like, I got to be honest with you guys. Like, this is what happened with this guy. And like was super honest with all of it. But like having my friends there, both of them, I mean, even my other friend that was there last night, they were just like, he is such a gem. And it's like so good to actually see, yes, there are good men out there. Yes, they are hard to find. Be intentional. Manifest this. Whatever you deserve, whatever you feel like you deserve, you know, level up, keep leveling up each one. And if you don't feel like it's exactly the right situation for you, you have a gut instinct. There were plenty of situations where I literally was like, this guy has not been bad to me, but our communication styles do not mesh. We keep missing each other. Mm-hmm. And I would just cut it off. And he's like, did I do something? And not necessarily. We just don't mesh. And I'm just getting that gut instinct. So I really learned to trust it. And now with my gut instinct saying yes, yes, yes to this guy, it was like what? This hasn't happened. You know, I haven't felt like so many yeses in a row. Yeah. So yeah, I just trusted that gut instinct moving forward. And it was so nice to see my friends getting emotional and being like, oh my God, it's real. Like it can happen. And she invited another one of her, he invited another one of her friends out because she was having a bad day. And he was like, she didn't ask for him, hey, do you think that we can add her to the reservation? First of all, it was only supposed to be us three, and another girl of her friends wanted to go. No problem. He added her on. Then when, oh, my friend's having a bad day, she didn't ask. He said, oh, no problem. I added her to the reservation. And her friend got so emotional, was crying because the own men in her life haven't been doing that. And it's like this guy who she doesn't even know. And it's like, and I got emotional too, because I was like, I'm so grateful that I get to be here and experience this. And I think that that's what's so important about like experiencing. It is real. It is real. And I told him, I was like, you should teach a course. Well, she should teach a course and so should he.
Yeah.
And he's actually like kind of confused. He's like, I'm so confused. Like, what do you mean guys aren't like this?
Yeah, legitimately, he just is like, what? Isn't every guy like this? And I'm like, he's like, I can't believe, he even said that to me today. He was like, I can't believe your friends think I'm so rare. And I was like,
you have no idea.
You have not been in the
He hasn't been in the dating world, so he has no clue.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So it was just such a fresh, a breath of fresh air to be there and experience it. And just watching her whole journey and really manifesting. And she's even had friends, oh, you just got lucky, Nichole. You just got lucky. And she's like, I've
worked on this. I've manifested this.
Yeah, and she's had, when she was dating guys in the past, and just not exclusive, because I love when she says, you don't know them, you don't owe them. And that's something important. Like if a guy, is treating you to things, don't let them hold things over your head and think, oh, now you owe me. No, you don't owe them anything. And so she'd be like, really? You really think this is just luck? Because look at these guys all doing exactly what I want. She's a scientist. She needs the data. This is the data. This is the proof. Like she really did this. And she's like, I remember when you were like, guys, it's kind of hard for me to say, but I think I believe in manifestation. And I'm like, yes,
it was a hard
girl.
moment.
And I always say, like, look into quantum physics, quantum mechanics, all that. It proves that, the metaphysical and manifestation, all that is real. So I just love that here we are living it out. Here we are living out. And all you had to do was stand firm in yourself, know exactly what you wanted, and you attracted that.
Yep, kept the energy out that was not for me.
Yeah. It like the sign we saw. Like the sign we saw this morning. What did it say? The attitude you put into the day is the attitude you'll get back. So great attitude, great day. And so that's how you were. You were like, this is what I want. I'm going to wait for it and it's going to find me. And it really is like a magnet. Once you start saying and believing it, you really have to believe in yourself.
You have to believe that it's possible.
Yeah.
Because you're going to, again, it's an energy exchange, like you said. And if you don't believe that it's for you, then you have this kind of negative energy about what's going to be attracted to you. And that's, again, probably repelling a good situation.
I think
a possible good situation.
Yeah. And I've told, friends about, her story, and they were like, well, she's not really like looking for something serious, right? Because like that's going to be impossible to find. And I'm like, she's already found it. And then it's like, well, that wouldn't happen for me. Well, it won't happen for you because you don't think that it will. You don't believe that it will. And you're not setting these standards. It doesn't matter what you look like. Looks aren't going to last forever. What matters is what's on the inside. And I think that that's something that you also learned through this journey was, I got to stop going. Not saying that her boyfriend is attractive. Okay, I will say that. But, it's like she stopped going for the conventionally hot guy, this and the young, that one gym guy, whatever, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna look past that. I'm gonna look past that, and I'm gonna really see who are they really, and then the more they treat you right, the more attractive they become, because they have, and it really is. It's like,
well, guys that I had dated before my current boyfriend were less attractive, let's just say. And I was just like, well, if they're treating me nice, I have gained attraction for them. And then the minute they started pulling back or doing what, traditional dating that we've all experienced, then I was like, wow, I literally found myself so emotionally detached immediately once I wasn't treated exactly how I wanted to be treated. They would show up for a period of time and then all of a sudden, and then, like the attractive guys like we've talked about, or the traditionally aesthetically pleasing guys that society claims is beautiful, whatever, gym person, they became honestly very unattractive to me.
Yeah.
If you fixate on like how they're treating you and how they make you feel over this like perfect aesthetic, what society says is beautiful, like you're going to find beauty in other places.
Yeah.
So when there are other guys that I've dated before my recent that were definitely providers, definitely doing some good things for me before the situations didn't work out. And I definitely found like them, I still find them attractive because they weren't bad guys. They were actually doing what they needed for me, but there was just some pieces missing for me that weren't going to work out long term.
Yeah, and I think it's always about the feeling. How do they make you feel? Don't like just literally take the physical out of the equation. How do they make you feel? Because at the end of the day, there could be a fire and this person could be completely burned from head to toe. How do they make you feel?
Do you love them on a deeper level?
Are you in love with their soul? The soul is what's important. Like who their heart, and I really got just such calm, cool, like chill vibes from him. He's a Pisces, and so very romantic.
Very.
And yeah, and so I was just like, wow, you know, and I hope that it's real. We hope it works out, but so far so good. I mean, he was like opening the door for me. Do you need anything? And it's like, and we were like, not us being sister wives. I'm like, we're literally like, I'm like, he's all of our boyfriends now because he's just treating us. I mean, and you know why I wanted to, so I'm leaving tomorrow morning. And the reason I wanted to film this video at the end of my trip was because I wanted to let you guys know, like, I literally manifested this for myself. Not only did she manifest this, I manifested this because I booked this months ago, this flight months ago. And I didn't know how I was going to pay for anything or whatever. And I was like, damn, I just wish Nichole could have, you know, one of these guys just send her money for me. And they did. Literally, like, before she met her boyfriend, you know, because I booked this out so long ago, she's like, hey, my friend's coming into town. I'd love to be able to treat her. No problem. Send her money.
Sent. Yep.
I haven't had to spend a dime on this trip, you guys. I haven't had to spend a dime. And then on top of that, it's like, she's going to have money left over because her boyfriend now was paying for us last night. Like, how amazing is that? I'm like, oh my God. Like,
there's multiple providers out there. They are
out there. You just have to believe it and raise your standards and be patient and know that it will come in divine timing. I think you both were just at it was just the perfect time for you guys to meet.
Yeah, and it was a level up over time. I realized, like, okay, there can be some beautiful moments. Like, one of the guys I dated that, like, society would say was very attractive, or I got a lot of commentary like, wow, he's very good looking, you know. I realized through him, like, wow, romance is still alive. There was a lot of romantic aspects, you know. He drank all the water, which wasn't super romantic. But, like, overall, there were things about him that I hadn't had with my ex, and I was like, wow, that's great. That's great that someone's romantic. There's, you know, protector vibes aren't there, but definitely, like, I have the romance here. And then I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work for me for this reason. And then the next guy I meet is also romantic and has some other great aspects, is more of a provider and can give me a little bit more, and I feel a little bit more safe because I can, you know, I can assure that I can take care of my mom or my friends or whatever I need because he's doing these things for me, but he's kind of got like a little bit of a jaded past, and you know, like, that's not going to work for me long term, having to deal with an ex-wife. That's a little bit crazy, you know.
I think that's also important too, is we need to pay attention to how people speak about their exes, because we don't find it attractive when someone is putting their ex down and talking.
I don't think you should hate your ex.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
and especially if
unless they really saw
children.
Yeah.
I think especially if it's the mother of your children, I think it's important to have respect for that and for that person. And so, you know, that's something you want to pay attention to as well, is how do they talk about them? How do they treat them? Because, you know,
that was a big deal for me. The guy that, you know, he was actually a fairly good provider. He was right around that like 400,000 range, like I was telling you guys. And he really tried very hard for me to give me what I wanted. But like the toxicity that surrounded that situation really worried me. It was just like, he had such negative feelings about it. And it's like, okay, they'd been divorced for like 8 years. And it's like, okay, you can like let go of some of that, you know?
Yeah.
And now my boyfriend has a very healthy co-parenting situation. And I'm like, every time he talks very positively about her, and I'm like, this is such a green flag. So good that you have this relationship with this person that's the mother of your children. I love that. I love that's very healthy, very good. Like, you don't want the negative energy around you. You want this, like, he's a very calm soul, and he brings so much good, like, positive energy to a situation. So he fit the bill in so many different ways, not just, okay, I found this, but now this other guy's lacking this. And he even said last night, he was talking to us about, like, I just figured I would have to compromise on a few things. And then when I met Nichole, I felt like I didn't have to. Like, he checks all my boxes and I check all his.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he said that last night, I would never speak negatively about my ex or anybody he's dated. He just said there were things missing, and he just thought there's got to be more out there. And I mean, think about it. He got married pretty young. If he got married 20 years ago, he's in his 20s. So
yeah, he's only 9 years older than me. So
he got married pretty young. And so it makes sense that you grow, you evolve, you mature, and then you realize, you grow apart sometimes. I mean, I think it's America. I don't know how many marriages end in divorce. But,
you don't really know yourself in your mid-20s. You really don't. And that's when he was married.
I was telling her, your frontal lobe develops fully at 25, but then you hit your Kundalini awakening at 33. And that's kind of when you wake up because your chakras open up naturally. And I think that a lot of people don't know that. And I think that that's why society pressures us to get married in our 20s and acts like you're a spinster in your 30s because they want you to.
Especially here in Utah.
Yeah, they want you to be in that trap. And it's like, give it time. I always say you're so different from your 20s to your 30s. You have different values, different goals.
And 33, honestly, when she brought that up to me today, I was like literally 33 when I was like with my ex till I turned 35 on my birthday at 35 because I just turned 36. But at my birthday on 35. But on 33, I was like, something's different. Like,
yeah, it kind of just clicks.
Yeah, all of it clicked. I was like, this is toxic. I don't know what I'm doing. This person's living with me completely.
At 33 was when I had my awakening as well.
Okay.
At 33, I think like the same thing happened with my sister. I feel like it just clicks at that age where you're like, I need more. I need more than just this.
And I've been going down the wrong path with relationships for sure.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, thank you. If you guys made it, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you learned something. I think we covered everything. Is there anything else?
We really did. Yeah. No, I think we covered everything.
We went through like the whole timeline.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like a year's worth of stories. Honestly, I mean,
the stories were fun.
Oh God, I know. And people are like, wait, what is she going to talk about now? And I don't know. I wish that I tell her you should write a book. You should do a course. You should. I mean, now she's got a year's worth of stories that you could talk about.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you can show what now you've manifested into your life through that journey.
Yeah, that would be probably a good start for me. And like talking about a lot of what I used to talk about on the Close Friends was experiences I was going through in the moment. And sharing like, hey, this guy said this. This was actually like a subtle way to say that he was not going to be a provider. And I feel like those tips were very helpful and a lot of people had utilized them moving forward in their relationships.
Yeah. And I think through watching her, I realized like, I still have some things that I need to work on. And so I'm going to step back from dating.
I think that's very fair.
I was still in the chasing and in my masculine. And I'm like, I'm going to take a step back. And I've really just self-reflected. And it's just been so beneficial for me.
Good.
Even when you think that you're doing things right, you still realize, no, I'm still ending up. Why am I still attracted to these emotionally unavailable people? To these people who are not.
Because you're willing to put in the effort, but they're not. Yeah.
Yeah. And these people that like talk a big game and then can't follow through. And so watching her really be firm in what she says and not giving a shit about if this guy's going to get offended, if the guy's going to drop off the face of the earth. I don't care. I'm going to say exactly. And I am someone who says exactly what's on my mind. But when it comes to dating, it's like a different thing where you get a little shy, you get a little scared, you get a little timid.
Like, I still want them to like me because I like them. And then if you go into a situation where you're just like, well, if this makes them run, then
they're not the person. They're not the person. And she's just a prime example of that. So it's been great. It's been great. And I'm just so happy that this was divine timing, this trip, like, I mean, it was planned months ago, and then to be here now and see like everything come to fruition and you manifested exactly what you wanted. It's just beautiful. I love that this is just, I call it the new earth energy. You just manifest exactly what you want. You vibrate high and you attract that into your life. So I'm so happy for you. Yay. I'm so happy that we got to do this. Amazing. You guys definitely have to follow her Instagram, Dating Chronicles, on Instagram. And, hopefully she's got more stories for us.
Oh, I definitely can share a lot more things, go into detail about things that I've gone through. I also am hoping to get like more feedback from friends. I've actually had some friends like agree to like share their dating stories. So I'm hoping that like I can still bring a lot of spiciness to the dating chronicles, because it was fun. Like for a while,
it was so much fun.
Like it wasn't always fun for me because I got to be vulnerable and emotional about like, damn, I thought this was a good situation, and all of a sudden this guy like really let me down in this way or that way, right? And so it was fun because people were always like, oh, what's the next episode of the Chronicles, you know? But I think if I can bring some other, like, I can bring some other content through other people's stories and be like, oh, this is one I haven't experienced, for instance. Like, how would you guys, and I loved getting feedback from the crowd too, like, how would you guys, you know, handle a situation like this? And then if I got like good answers, I would share with all my followers, all the close friends, like, hey, this is actually how I think this is a great response to this situation. And hopefully I can bring in some more people's, like,
I did.
Being completely anonymous. I always called them by nicknames, the guys by nicknames. I tried not to like share too much information. Sometimes I would drop a photo. But again, like she always does too. Like we don't like, do not record this. Do not do, you know, do not like share private information of people. But for the most part, I just used nicknames for them and then shared my experiences so women could also learn, like, okay, when a guy says this, he's meaning this, and when a guy says this, why don't you ask him that, so that you can know that what his true intentions are. So hopefully we can figure out a way, me navigating a new relationship. I think I can still find, I also like the idea of sharing my relationship right now and being like, this is real.
I was gonna say
I'm not
too.
somebody that has like millions of followers and is just like flaunting a Chanel bag. It's literally like showing, hey, you can actually have someone that is considerate, is a good person and a provider and everything that you're looking for. I'm living, breathing proof. What do I have to gain from this? I literally don't have a following right now, you know?
And I think it would be really cool if at some point, if you did decide to pursue this, if, you know, he was able to do a video with you and be like,
I'd love that.
What attracted you to me? What's your mindset? Because to him, he's like, what do you mean not everybody's like this? So it would be awesome to get inside his head and, you know, and pick his brain about that stuff.
Like a true masculine man. He's like, why aren't all men just like this? And I'm like, God, that's so hard to find nowadays, you know?
So hard. But, and her friends last night were like, I want to be on your podcast. I want to be in there. Da, da, da. And I'm like, I think it'd be cool if you did end up starting something, because her friends always tell her, you gotta have a podcast, Nichole, you gotta have a podcast.
Yeah.
So if she did start something, she could interview her friends and, you know, talk about their dating experiences. And we're all just women raising women up. And
that was my whole goal, even though I have a small following right now, was just honestly, I honestly love when people send me their like, hey, this is what some guy said to me on an app. I'm getting ick vibes, like how should I respond? I'd be like, ooh, let me craft a perfect little message on like how to like put this person in their place. And if they responded well to me being a little like sassy, it was great. Yeah. Or them, because I would send messages to friends to send to the guys that were interested in them. And then getting their feedback, like, oh, wow, he responded so well to that, even though that seems a little forward as a woman, right? We've been told so long that we're too much and we need to like scale back and we need to settle a little bit less. Well, why do you want the guy that has money? He's never going to be good looking, or he's never going to be this or that. And these men are just trying to like notch you down so you settle for them, right? So yeah, I love giving feedback. I love like when people reach out to me asking like, oh, what would you do in this situation, Nichole? Because you're so bold and you always have the right words to say, and that's fun too. So
this was so great. I'm so glad we got to do this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So proud of you, and I love that you're a girl's girl. I love that. We need more women like this who want to support women and lift women up and help women out. I think it's so important. If it wasn't for people sharing their stories, I don't know if I would have been where I am now. I think like that's what helped me get out of my narcissistic relationship, realize I was in a narcissistic relationship, was watching other women tell their stories. And that's why it's so important for me to share my stories, because other people sharing their stories helped me get here. Yeah. And so it is important that we talk. It is important that we share. It is important that we share our history of being in toxic relationships, and then you know, lifting ourselves up. And you gotta be, like we were just saying, you gotta be your biggest hype man, because ain't nobody gonna raise you up like you're gonna raise yourself up. That's why I'm always wearing my merch, you guys. And then this is my time is an illusion. Okay, so available on alexhurts.com. So you guys, make sure you guys follow Nichole Dating Chronicles. I'll put her info in the description so you guys can follow her, and hopefully we'll see more. Hopefully we'll see more of you.
Yes.
You're natural.
Oh, thank you, girl. Thank you, girl.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.